I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 53 of Tales from Godric's Hollow, the number one Australian podcast that has no Harry Potter spoilers in it. If you're reading along with the podcast, I am one of your hosts. I am the Muggle of the show. I am Josh Brown. I am joined, as always, by the man who is yet to be burned off of a family tree, Professor Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh.
Well, I don't know that for sure, actually.
That's very true. As far as I know, it is true.
Okay.
But as for your podcast introduction, it just I'm pretty sure you add a qualifier every week.
Well, you know what? I mean, there's just so much going on Australia, Matt, that, you know, I need to make sure that Australia and the governing body of such recognizes our greatness on a regular basis.
Fair enough.
They can't forget these sort of things, Matt.
Yep.
It's my duty to remind them, you know?
Yeah.
But no, family trees you have not been burned off of?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, at some point, maybe we better check that out.
We should. Just
to be on the up and up with things. I don't want to be a liar here, Matt. The listening audience deserves better, so. This is a weird show for us. I'm just going to throw that out there for everybody listening. Quick turnaround time from the last time you guys heard the show, the last episode 52. That was just 4 days ago. This is now being recorded on Sunday, July 2nd. You guys won't hear it until Wednesday, July 5th. Everything's all changed and dramatically different. It's a holiday week for us here in the United States of America. The day that we celebrate blowing things up and eating delicious food. Because
I was going to go ahead and try to blame Britain for this one.
Well, I mean, I feel like Australia is probably involved somewhere with that also, but I mean, between the UK and Australia, there is a greater force to be at fault for this coming holiday. But here we are. We're going to celebrate it anyway, Matt.
We are.
You're going out of town. That's making our recording schedule a little bit different. We both kind of forgot that we were doing it in one way or another. The Muggle poll went up a little bit later.
Yep.
I might have not read until by the way, 20 minutes ago.
Shout out to Taryn for sending me a little reminder.
Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking about the Muggle poll today.
Yeah.
Knowing I hadn't read, worrying that people were going to start responding like they normally do to the Muggle poll with spoilery stuff, which normally wouldn't be spoilery because the Muggle poll usually always goes out after I've already read. But because of today's circumstance, I'm like, oh no, I better not check my phone at all, because if something big happens in these two chapters, I'm definitely going to know about it because of the Muggle poll. And then the first tweet that I saw comes up was, hey, where's the Muggle poll? All right. Matt and I are on the same page, which is totally blank at this point. It's a weird day. It's a weird week. I apologize for that. Matt, you apologize for that. We're getting our bearings with this new schedule and this shifted schedule this week. Look, you guys are still going to get the remarkable show that you do every week. Just hang in there. Just bear with us just a little bit. That's all we could ask.
Yep.
Also, by the time you're listening to this, by the time you are hearing me grovel and try to explain ourselves to you guys, the wonderful listening audience, you would have already had the newest Butterbeer Banter episode show up in your feed, and you probably already listened to that, and you probably realize that was an awesome hour and a half of content that will definitely satisfy you through this holiday until this show actually happens for you guys.
You got it.
That was a fun Butterbeer Banter episode, Matt.
I think so.
One of our best, dare I say.
And a lot of people that are patrons who have heard it already, I think they agree.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We celebrated 20 years of Harry Potter in our own way. We implored the people out there to write in with what Harry Potter means to them, quite simply. Specifically the first book, but in general, the series. Overwhelming response. We had a good time reading all the emails, talking about them, joking about them, crying alongside with them. It was an emotional episode, front to back. But definitely one of our best, one of my favorite episodes going forward, one I'm not going to forget. And as somebody already pointed out on Twitter, you know, the short turnaround time made it kind of difficult for people to get in emails. We did have a lot of people respond quickly, but I know there's a lot of people out there that wanted to respond that didn't get them in on time. So, as I said on that episode, if they keep coming in, if we get enough to do a second go round of that episode specifically, we will definitely do so.
Yeah, I will say we've already gotten 2 or 3 more. So go ahead and send those things in because, we will gladly do another episode like that.
Yeah, and especially after you guys hear the episode and kind of hear what other people had to say and kind of give you an idea, like maybe that'll get the juices flowing and that email will start flowing a little bit better than it would have beforehand. So make them happen, and we will definitely oblige because, you know, that was on us. We did a marathon episode last week, and then at the very end, we sprung it on you guys to, oh yeah, you have less than 48 hours to write in this awesome, lengthy, emotional email to us so we could turn it into another episode. That's totally our fault. You know, we're not going to say it's not. So we want to make that right. If we do get more, we will do another episode, 100%. Speaking of last week's episode, Matt, it was a doozy. It was a marathon, but one of the things to come out of that episode, something very important, was actually a giveaway.
Yeah.
We announced another giveaway, as we always do, for this week. And it was an awesome giveaway. It's a fantastic prize. The only problem is, because of the short turnaround time and the holiday weekend and just all these different factors that went into it, we didn't get a whole lot of people responding to the giveaway.
Very true.
Again, it's probably our fault. We shoved it in at the back of that episode after what seemed like an all-night affair. So we're going to give away the prize regardless. We talked about it beforehand, and we didn't think it was fair and just to hold on to another week just for more entry's sake, because there were a couple of people that did enter, and we feel like they deserve an equal shot to win this prize.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the prize we're giving away, Matt?
It is a marvelous piece of Gryffindor wall art. I know I put a picture out of it on Twitter this week. If you want to take a look at it, go check our feed there. Yeah.
You were, like, subconsciously actually hoping that nobody entered this giveaway so that you could just keep it for yourself?
Honestly, kind of. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah. I'm sure when that first email came in, you're just like, dang it. There it goes. It's gone.
Yep. Gotta ship it out now.
So what was the method in which people had to participate in to enter this fine giveaway?
Well, you were inspired by our chapter called The Order of the Phoenix last week, and you wanted people to come up with their own secret society name.
That's right. Well, I'm curious what the people came up with here. But I'm going to choose a winner.
Yep.
And you know what? Like, I'm just going to go just straight forward with it.
Okay.
Number 1, Matt.
Number one.
All
right. That will go to Christy.
Hey, congratulations, Christy. You just won an awesome piece of wall art.
Christy says her secret society name would be called the Bowtruckle Bunch.
I like that.
Simply because it popped into my head as soon as Josh said what the email needed to have in it, and it made me smile. There you go.
Thank you, Christy. Did Christy mention if she is a Gryffindor or has a Gryffindor in the family or some?
That I don't know. Yeah. I think she's a little bit newer listener. I think we have another email from her this week, actually.
Cool.
But I don't think it mentions anything about a house. So.
Well, I'm just curious. This is the first giveaway that we've done that's kind of like house specific. So, why we didn't think that would discourage anybody from entering this. Just kind of curious if Christy won it as a proud Gryffindor or she won it just because she thought it was going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Either way,
like I said,
congratulations.
I would gladly have this thing on my wall, and I'm not even a Gryffindor. So,
would you have a Slytherin?
Yes, because they're like my favorite colors.
That's true. I keep forgetting that.
Green and black. So good.
Yeah, but Slytherin. Would you have a Hufflepuff? I feel like Hufflepuff is the only house you have no connection to.
I would struggle with that one. Like, I'm not really a fan of yellow in the first place.
Sure.
And then it's Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
But if I had, like, the other three houses up on my wall, like, I might be compelled just to finish the set. The collector in me says I need to have them all. But
so there's a chance you would go 3 out of the 4 just for the sole purpose of excluding Hufflepuffs from it?
Like I said, I don't really have a connection to it. I can't. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess if I had the 3, I wouldn't feel too super bad about not having the 4th. Like if that was the only one I had to give away.
Wow.
Sorry, man.
Those cuts are deep, Matt. To be fair, I wasn't the biggest fan of yellow before all this started anyway. After a year or so of seeing nothing but yellow, I've grown to like it quite a bit.
That's good.
So take that for what it's worth. Well, as we always do, at the end of the show, we will announce a new giveaway for this coming week. So stay tuned for that. If you want to fast forward to the end, feel free to do so. But it's going to be another fun giveaway. We're going to have a fun way to enter and participate. And like I said, stay put, hang back, and listen to us jibber jab about Harry Potter for a little bit, and allow yourself to possibly win a prize at the end. Pretty easy stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah.
We have 2 chapters to cover this week, Matt. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, chapters 6 and 7. Before we do that, though, I have a question.
Okay.
Now, you probably don't have a solid answer for this, but
I can try.
How do wizards in the States celebrate 4th of July? Because I feel like fireworks just wouldn't have the appeal and awe factor that it does for us stupid muggles.
I think you'd be surprised. And I'm going to say you should hold on to that thought.
Holding. Do we go to the States? Does Harry Potter go to the United States, Matt? Don't answer that question.
I can't divulge that information at this point.
What in the world? You just made my head spin.
It's good.
Now I'm only going to be thinking about Muggles and fireworks the entire show. Like, the show is ruined now, Matt, because you put some doubt into my head.
Hey, you told me off air this wasn't going to be an exciting episode.
That's
now
true.
It is.
That's it. Well, inside my own head, it's going to be super exciting, Matt. As for what I say about these 2 chapters that we read, I can't guarantee miracles here.
You'll just be distracted.
Yeah, I mean, us Muggles only know so much magic, and I don't know if I know enough to make these chapters super exciting.
In the middle of the episode, you'll hear some strange ramblings about fireworks, kind of like Creature going off.
Just me talking to myself, me thinking I'm having an internal monologue, and it's really just totally audible for everybody. Yeah, it's awesome podcast material.
Yep.
Let's just get to it. Let's just
all right.
Get this over with and get to the fun part, the emails and all that good stuff.
Chapter 6, The Noble and Most Ancient House of Black.
Is this officially the longest chapter title yet?
That's exactly what I was going after. I honestly think definitely the longest we've had so far. I honestly couldn't tell you if it is the longest overall, but there's a very good chance.
But so far, yeah, totally right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought Val was just starting into the chapter, and I had to stop her and say, I need the chapter title. No, that was the chapter title.
Yeah.
Okay. A little excessive there, JK. A little excessive. Like, I feel like you could have just put Ancient House of Black.
Or even just The House of Black.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good title.
Sure.
But you did catch when it was used in the chapter, right?
I did, and then I just, I got even more kind of upset about the whole thing. Like, I don't know which one she shoehorned in, but it just made me feel like one of the two was completely forced for the necessity of making the other one make sense, and I didn't appreciate that.
Fair enough.
But what do I know?
All right. Your favorite section, new characters.
Boy, okay. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a fair number of these, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we'll just plow through them for now.
Mm-hmm.
But we had So growing up, I always pronounced this Uncle Alphard.
Okay.
But I'm guessing it's probably Alphard because it's Alphard.
Okay.
I really don't know which way it goes. But yeah. If that's a common British name and somebody knows something that I don't, please let me know.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple other names in this list that I realized I have never audibly spoken. I've only read them multiple times. I've never actually had to speak them.
Right.
So I've never tried really hard on the pronunciation. So yeah. But that one in my head, growing up as a kid, I always read that as Alphard because it sounded better to me. I mean, I was young.
Yeah.
Anyway,
is it the British equivalent of Alfred?
That's my guess.
Okay.
And that's why I would give it F sound.
Sure. But who knows?
But then we have Regulus Black, Phineas Nicholas, Araminta Melliflua, Aunt Elidora, Andromeda, we're assuming last name Black, she's on the tree, Bellatrix Black or Lestrange, Narcissa Black or Malfoy, Ted Tonks, and Rodolphus Lestrange and his brother Rabastin Lestrange.
Boy, oh boy. If there's one thing a guy could say about the Black family tree is that nobody likes to say their names out loud.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they just start burning them off. They're just like, nope, this is getting too complicated.
But they burned off the easy to say ones, for the most part. Sirius Black, come on.
That's true. Maybe because they didn't fit in with the complicated name scheme.
Sure.
That's a lot of new people, Matt.
It is. There's a lot of history going on here. So
I am predicting, this is just a random off-the-cuff Muggle theory here, there's probably only 3 or 4 names on that list that I really need to care about, going forward. And that might be a stretch.
I don't know about that. You
don't have to. You don't have to tell me yes or no.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to count them.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably in the ballpark at least.
Yeah, I mean, there were some names in there that, we're probably not gonna be too concerned with going forward. But
sure,
once we got into the Tonks and the Lestranges and the Malfoys, especially, that's when my ears started perking up a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm familiar with these familiar names, you know?
Yeah.
So that might be key going forward. And then I kind of feel like his brother, like there's more to his brother. Regulus. So I definitely notated that one in my notes.
Sure.
But yeah, like most of the other blacks and like great grandfathers who was a headmaster and a great aunt of two cousins passed who cut off house elves' heads when they got too old and all that. Out with the birds, Matt.
Sure.
I don't have time to remember those kind of names.
Fair enough.
I could hardly remember the main characters' names for the most part. Okay, chapter 6.
Yes.
Doing my best here, Matt, to get excited and pumped up for these 2 chapters. Because let's be real, these were not the most exciting chapters you could have picked to read.
I understand.
A lot of character and world building, but also just like a lot of filler and a lot of, I don't know. It felt like we're just at that point where we're starting to bash our heads against the table of let's get to Hogwarts and get the show on the road type of thing.
It doesn't help that we started out really fast in this book.
That's true. But
And
like,
so
you know, like when you go on a road trip or you're getting ready for like a long car ride,
Yep.
and you have everything packed in the car and you're ready to go, and like you start to grab your keys and you're rustling up everybody, then it's like, okay, hold on, I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay, hold on, I need to get a water bottle. Hold on, I forgot my sweatshirt. Like, and then like suddenly like there's all these like little delays that are just like 30 seconds to a minute long, but they totally add up, and suddenly you're a half hour later leaving than you would have been.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like. It's like we know where we're going, and now we're just stalling for the sake of adding to this book.
Sure.
I don't know. There's some important parts in here. Sure, I'll give them that. But I'll do my best, Matt. I'll do my best to be excited.
It's all in the details. You should know that by now.
Yeah. I mean, the chapter started off pretty fantastically.
Yeah?
Yeah. We got a flobberworm reference.
You do like your flobberworms.
I do. And I don't think they're appreciated as much as they should be, but that's me. That's my own personal opinion. But, you know, between flobberworms and then, oh my goodness, like what's going on with Mrs. Weasley and her cleaning party, like my heart's just bursting with all these weird little creatures, Matt.
It's true. We did get a lot of new creatures.
Yeah.
Or at least some new creatures.
Yeah. But first we had a conversation about the weapon.
Yes.
This is what a lot of people were asking me last week.
Yep.
The
What is the weapon?
Totally didn't even get around to thinking about the weapon.
It was a short week.
Yeah, it was a short week, a lot going on. So when the weapon came up in this chapter, I was like, ah, dang it. I didn't get a chance to think about it. I didn't get a chance to predict anything about it. But thankfully, these chapters were such a snore fest that they didn't even get to the possibility of talking about the weapon.
Yep.
That would have been way too cool for these chapters.
Yep.
So I feel like I got some time on the weapon.
Yeah, you probably have a little bit of time.
Yeah. I do have to wonder, though, is the weapon a what? Or is the weapon a who?
Interesting theory.
We'll just leave that there.
Okay.
For people to ruminate on until a possible Muggle theories shows up in their feed.
Fair enough.
Doxies. We talked about them last week.
We did. We did.
Apparently they were in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yep.
I believe it was Rihanna, maybe?
Rhonda, I believe.
Rhonda. I knew it was one of the R's.
Yep.
Pointed it out that they were in Fantastic Beasts. Unnamed, uncredited guest appearance, but definitely need to go check that out. Still. They are gross little suckers, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since they're kind of evil they like to bite, and their bite is poisonous. So
yeah, poisonous, razor sharp fangs.
Yeah.
4 fists, little balls of black fur. So much going on with these things. I imagine that they would be quite the nuisance creature.
Yeah. You kind of get the idea that they're pests when J.K. introduces doxicide,
right,
to kill them off, much like we have pesticides.
Yeah, doxicide. You gotta do your doxing, folks. And then we also had a reference to puffskeins.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't talk about those past that though.
Not so much. I mean, it doesn't help that they were dead.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. Definitely want to know about them though. Also, speaking of creatures, Buckbeak is in the house.
He is.
He's hanging out in
Literally.
Mama Black's room. That's cool. I mean, I don't know where else he would still store Buckbeak. I mean, he has to be in the house, right? He can't just be roaming in the yard.
You can't just let him fly around outside. That's not going to work.
My question, though.
Okay.
Where did Sirius Black get a whole bag full of dead rats? That disturbs me a little bit. Like, is that all Sirius is doing, is just, like, roaming the house for rats and then killing them and just throwing them in a bag like Santa Claus?
It's very possible.
He has nothing else going on. He is a bored man.
He got very adept at hunting rats when he was living as Snuffles out in the cave.
That's true.
Like, that's all they were eating, I'm pretty sure, was rats.
Yeah.
So, like, but yeah, I mean, you have to imagine there are a number of rats just running around this house.
Yeah. Enough to have a whole bag full of them? Oh.
Sure.
I guess. It's a fairly big house, and there's all kinds of gross things going on in there. I guess it's not out of the ordinary, but it was nice to have a Buckbeak reference nonetheless.
Yep. We know what he's up to.
Yeah. I had completely sort of kind of forgotten about Buckbeak.
Josh, how could you?
Well, I mean, like, even though, like, we got reintroduced to Sirius this book, like, not once did I ever think, hey, I wonder where Buckbeak is.
Yep. I understand.
He's just there. He's background now.
Yeah. We know, like, last time we saw Sirius, Buckbeak was right there.
Yeah.
Because they were in the same room. They were in the cave. Mm-hmm. It's a one-room house, basically. So, of course, he was right there. But, yeah, now that we have this almost, like, mansion that has so many rooms that, yeah, he's off in another room and didn't really think about him. We had so much other stuff going on. We were learning about the Order, and all the Weasleys were there. Just so many other distractions.
Yeah.
That, yeah. I mean, can you imagine, even if you let Buckbeak just wander the house, how many times he would, like, walk past Mrs. Black's painting and wake her up? Like,
yeah, but, like, maybe that's what Mrs. Black needs. Like, you can't upset a hippogriff from everything I know about him.
Yeah, they'd get into it.
Yeah, like I could just see him like just furiously scratching at the painting, and man,
can Buckbeak get the painting off the wall?
Maybe. He would be determined enough to do so.
Sure.
Especially if she didn't bow to him. Oh boy, he'd be on. I doubt we're gonna see that happen though. Just in my head, Matt. Just in my head.
I know.
Mrs. Weasley.
Yes.
Okay. She's determined to keep these kids busy. She's determined to put them to work. She's determined to clean this house.
Absolutely.
She's going to de-dox it. She's going to fumigate it. She's going to eradicate it of all these pests and critters and creatures that she possibly can, because she has nothing else to do except clean, cook, and make sure the kids don't drive her absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Also, she's kind of like looking after several of the adults as well, because they could barely take care of themselves. This woman has a lot on her plate.
You think about it this way. Okay, there's her husband, which, I mean, you kind of get the idea she takes care of too, because she's been
taking care of him from day one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the rest of these guys, like, it is almost all male in that house.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure most of them are bachelors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So think about that.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to clean up this bachelor pad that, I mean, no one's been living in for 10 years, for one thing. It's a magical house, and just, maybe a dozen bachelors in there?
Right.
Like, yeah. There's plenty to keep her busy.
And then Tongs, who wants to help, but definitely shouldn't ever be allowed to, because she'll create more of a mess than she will clean, I have a feeling.
Yes.
Mrs. Weasley is a little over her head on this, but she's doing her best. I am happy that she's there to take care of everybody, because, like, as the matriarch figure of the house, like, she's doing the very best she possibly can with what she has to work with.
Yes.
Utmost respect for Mrs. Weasley. Old Molly Weasley, she's a phenomenal woman, and I can't say enough good things about her, Matt. I really can't.
That's good.
But she still has a thing for Lockhart, and I'm a little concerned about her judgment with this.
Well, okay. This is how I like to think about it.
Don't you justify this, Matt.
She's looking at one of Lockhart's books.
Okay.
What do we know about Lockhart's past? Like
He's a fraud. He knows nothing.
Yes.
He's faked everything to get where he's at.
Yes. But the information that's in the books has to be pretty accurate.
Does it?
Because what did he tell us?
He did steal it from everybody else.
He stole it from the other wizards and then erased their memory.
That's true. I guess it's okay.
So I like to think of it as the books themselves are quite accurate. The problem being they're really written by someone else. They just have his name attached to them. So basically, everybody else was ghostwriting for Lockhart without their knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I will give you that. However, I still feel like Molly Weasley gets a little hot and bothered when she hears Lockhart's name or reads it on the front cover of this book or any of that matter. Regardless of the fact that he almost got her daughter and son killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's still like, okay, all we know about him is that he's a moron. He doesn't know anything. He's a fraud. He's a faker. But man, he's dreamy. That hair, that body, like, I don't know. There's probably other books she could be reading right now, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
I appreciate the reference to Lockhart, but it still makes me shudders a little bit, especially in the sense of Mrs. Weasley reading his book and, like, taking directions from him. You know?
So basically, you've had enough Lockhart, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna, like, just go away. We're riding this train all the way to the end.
Yeah.
He's not dead. We know that.
Yep.
I have no idea where he's at, but that concerns me in itself. He can pop up at any point, Matt, and my world's going to be flipped upside down. And I think, like, these little tiny references to him are just enough breadcrumbs to point at something down the road, unfortunately.
Sure.
Just remind us that he's still out there, you know?
Yeah. Sounds like a JK thing to do.
Goodness. I'm not ready for that, Matt. The more I think about it, the more angry I'm getting. The twins.
Gotta love them.
They get better every time we talk about them.
They do.
I don't know how that's possible. But just every time we're introduced to them, here we are.
They're figuring things out. They're moving forward.
Yeah. They're hustling, man.
Yeah.
They're snagging doxies and putting them in their pocket without being seen.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and that what was it called? That wart powder, whatever it was. Something else they stole. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like this new edibles that they're creating. I forget the name of it. It went by so fast I didn't have time to write it down.
Skeeving snack boxes.
There we go. That's the most Weasley twin thing I would have ever thought that they would have created. Of all the things that we've known that they've created so far, that is 100% them in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
Like, how do I get out of something in the most gross and over-the-top way?
Where no one's going to question it.
Right.
Like,
but then
they got to make it legit.
To make myself better so I could go and gallivant and be free and merry on my own time.
Yeah.
That's the Weasley Twins.
Absolutely.
They're just too much, Matt. They're just too much.
And, I mean, you know they're fully committed to this, too, when they've been testing it on themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how, Harry questioned it. He was like, the testers? Who in the world would test your stuff? These guys are crazy, whoever that is. It's you guys. Oh, that makes total sense.
Yep.
But like you said, like, I appreciate the dedication to their product, you know? Like, they want to make sure it's 100% what they're advertising. And when I say advertising, I literally mean advertising.
Yeah.
Because they're taking out ads on the Daily Prophet.
They are.
That's fantastic.
Mail order joke shop.
I can't get enough of the twins. It's good stuff.
They'll be around.
Yeah, I feel like it. Even though this is their last year at Hogwarts. It makes me sad. Doxies are cleaned up. Crystal ball was mentioned.
Yeah.
In the shelf, I think, or cabinet of things.
Yeah, there was a lot of things in that cabinet.
Yeah, daggers and I don't know, probably some
and tweezers that ran up Harry's arm and
all kinds of weird little things. The only thing that I really paid attention to was the crystal ball.
Okay.
Makes me interested in that. I'm intrigued. I don't know why. Okay, first of all, crystal ball, I immediately started thinking of Trelawney. Then I had to hit my head a couple times to stop thinking about Trelawney and focus on the important things here. Yeah, very interesting. I don't know why. Interesting.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind.
Mundungus.
Yes.
Is he related to the Weasleys at all?
To the Weasleys?
Yeah.
Not as far as I know. Why do you think he would be related to the Weasleys?
Because they mentioned that he was a ginger again.
Did they?
Yeah. Because the kids were looking over the banister and they saw his ginger hair or something like that. Or they specifically called him a ginger. I can't remember the usage of the word.
I remember the scene you're talking about, but I don't necessarily remember even any sort of hair color being mentioned.
Maybe I'm making stuff up in my head, Matt.
For some reason, I was thinking that he was more bald, but I could be making stuff up in my head. So
well, I don't remember ever having a full description of him before. But then, so that when this happened, and they mentioned the word ginger was used in some way, shape, or form. If not, I completely fabricated this whole thing. But that made me think. I was like, well, is he like a Weasley cousin or something? Is that why Mrs. Weasley is so hard on him?
That would be an interesting twist.
Twist? Or, I mean, maybe.
Okay, so...
Do you find it?
They could see the top of an unkempt, gingery head.
There
and
we
a
go.
Stack of precariously balanced cauldrons.
There we go.
Yeah.
Gingery head.
Yeah.
That would indicate like a redhead, right?
I would think so.
Okay. And only redheads that we've met thus far all belong to the one family.
Pretty much. That's how you know they're Weasley.
Right. So that one little mention, like, I don't know. Now I think that he's part of the Weasley clan. Especially because this whole chapter is about family lineage that completely throw off everything that you know about these different families and how they're all seamlessly related to one another. Now we got Mundungus in the mix, and I'm like, well, maybe so. You know, maybe that's why the twins get along with him so well.
I think they get along with him for other reasons.
But that might also be why Mrs. Weasley is so hard on him.
Sure.
And why he's still kind of around. You know, and he's like the forgotten Weasley because of like his dastardly deeds out on the streets, and, you know, the Weasleys don't want to actually claim him as one of theirs. But I don't know, Matt. I'm just picking up on subtle clues JK's dropping here and there.
All right.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Creature.
Creature.
We had a really good streak going on, Matt, of solid house elf characters that I like and appreciate in their own weird ways. I'm having a hard time finding something to latch onto with this creature character.
Yeah, he's very much on a different spectrum.
He's old. He's possibly senile. Like, there's definitely some question whether or not, like, he's in his right mind or not.
Yep.
He definitely has no chill whatsoever. Like, he doesn't care at all what he says to whom and how they receive what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, he's not afraid to offend people.
Yeah, he what was that Twitter? Wasn't there a Twitter account like Angry Grandpa or something like that?
Probably, yeah.
Back in the day, at least. I don't know if it's still around or not, but yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of. Like, yeah, he just, you know, complain about anyone, everything, and doesn't care what people think.
Not necessarily PC.
Yeah.
You know. And I think this is a good time to mention this. People that are reading my show notes. For one, I will say autocorrect does a horrible thing with some of the words, like apparating. It changes apparating every time without me ever noticing it, because it does not like that word at all. So, first of all, people may be confused by that. Secondly, the biggest thing about the show notes this week, and somebody on Twitter, I'm going to pull up her name just for the sake of giving her credit for this. Renee pointed out in my notes, my muggle notes, that I kept wondering what a blood traitor was. Because Creature called the Weasleys blood traitors. And I was like, what's a blood traitor? Like, I'm thinking the literal definition of, like, trading blood, or is like there like a deep black market for blood that the Weasleys are involved in. Like, what's going on with these blood traders? Why does he keep calling them blood traders? Right?
Yeah. And this is where we get into the problem of you just listening to the book.
Never touching the book for myself.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not traitor, Trader, like I thought it was, but traitor, Traitor.
Correct.
Very different word.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Means
totally different things.
Does that make a little more sense to you then?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's basically just referring to
the pure blood way
a Witcher wizard who sympathizes with the Muggles. Mm-hmm. Basically.
Yeah.
Or
associates with like non-purebloods.
Yeah, because the blacks and the black household and creature included at this point, they're all about purebloods and keeping everything in the pureblood family.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Weasleys aren't about that life.
No.
They are.
I mean,
they are perfectly content spreading elsewhere.
The majority of wizards aren't about that. It just happens to be that, the Weasleys are. I mean, they are pureblood, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they just do things differently.
Sure.
I mean, you just look at Arthur and his love of muggles.
Yeah. Yeah, and them accepting Hermione and...
Oh, yeah, that's the worst. I mean, Creature's comments towards Hermione, just ridiculous.
Right. So, I mean... the whole time, like, I'm not thinking about any of this, right? I'm thinking about, like, my crazy theory of, like, what a blood traitor is and, like, how dark and, like, dirty is this book going to get here? Because we're talking about some weird things going on. Like, no, and it's not that at all. It's totally something completely different. But, like, throughout my notes, I'm, like, continually questioning what a blood traitor is. Like, why are we not addressing this? Like, we need to address what is going on here and why this stupid little house elf keeps calling the Weasleys blood traitors.
Yeah.
Silly me, Matt.
We got it all sorted out. It's okay.
Yeah, thankfully. Because I felt completely unsatisfied by the end of that chapter, not knowing what the blood trade was and why it was important and how the Weasleys were involved. Especially, like, the twins. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, what are they doing? What kind of joke shop is this?
Yeah, they're the ones who might actually, get into some blood trading.
Yeah. Joke shop's just a front. For their backroom shenanigans. Yeah, so, okay, clear that up. So anybody that may read the notes and are super confused by what I'm talking about, I was super confused, clearly.
Yeah.
With that being said, Creature is kind of the worst.
I would agree.
Yeah.
He actually, in this chapter in particular, always kind of reminds me of Gollum.
Yes.
Just kind of wanders around, kind of talking to himself. I mean, Gollum's situation was a little bit different, where he was kind of talking to someone else. But, yeah.
Creature thinks he's talking to himself in his head, but he's saying it out loud and definitely loud enough for everybody to hear.
Yep.
But he gets reactions from the people, and he acknowledges the reactions, so then it's like, well, you clearly know that you're saying this, so...
Exactly.
It's not just a matter of, like, you kind of being crazy. Like, you know you're saying this, and you know you're saying it loud enough for them to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a horrible little house elf. And, like, what he was dishing out to Hermione, like, it was kind of gross, and I'm glad that they stood up for her. Ginny and Ron, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the worst part is that she's the only one that's actually trying to be nice to Creature. And, of course, he's dishing out the most evil towards her.
Right. So I'm thinking, how's this going to affect Spew going forward? Like, is she going to see this and think, all house elves get to this point, you know, when they get old? Like, this is what house elves turn into? Why am I trying to liberate them and save them, you know?
Well, it doesn't seem to be changing your opinion quite yet.
Not yet, but it's definitely adding a new perspective that she didn't have before.
Yeah.
On house elves.
Like we said, very different from Dobby and Winky, and as far as we know, any of the house elves down in the kitchen. So
right, yeah. And, like, he's kind of a lazy dude. Like, he's not working. He what are you doing? I'm cleaning. Oh, you're not? You haven't cleaned a thing in 10 years. What are you? That's the worst excuse he could have come up with.
Yep. Everybody else is cleaning. You are not cleaning.
That's the one clear thing that you shouldn't be saying right now, because everybody knows that's exactly what you're not doing.
Yep.
Filthy little house elf. Man, that guy makes me so upset. So I'm thinking in my head, there's an easy way to solve this. There's a real simple way to get rid of this creature problem. Give him a sock, kick him out the door.
You would think so.
And as I'm typing this, Matt, because I can't stop thinking about this, Sirius reminds Harry, he knows way too much. We can't do that.
Yep. He has all the inside info on the Order. He's been around for far too long. He just knows way too much.
Right.
There's no way they can let him go.
Which totally makes sense. And then he even reminds everybody towards the end of, I know everything about this Order of the Phoenix business going on. You can't do anything with, like, it's like, you cocky little SOB. Like, how could you, creature.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to make it even worse, like, we know he is just as, he leans toward pure blood just as much as Mrs. Black and the rest of the family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's adapted all of their opinions.
Yeah. I mean, if he's let loose, like, there's no telling what damage he could do.
Yeah.
Like, he would gladly tell certain people about the Order.
But Sirius also says that the shock of him being forced out of the house might actually kill him. And I'm thinking, would that be the worst thing? Like, don't get me wrong, I love me some house elves, but he doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities here. He's not doing himself any favors. He's not working. He's not doing his job as a house elf. And he's only being kept around because he knows too much.
Pretty much.
Rocking a hard spot with these house elves. We don't know what kind of magic he knows. Like, he's been around some people, you know?
Yep.
So, I don't know. Creature is definitely someone to watch out for. And I hope a Dobby creature showdown happens at some point, because I desperately need that in my life, but we'll see.
That could be good.
We'll see what happens with creature. So this kind of led into the big revelation of the chapter, which was Sirius Black laying out his whole family tree.
Yes.
You need to help me make sense of all this, Matt, because it started, I was trying to follow branches in my head and things were getting loosey-goosey, and the names started popping up and I was familiar with, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going places here.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of good information in this chapter, but you don't necessarily know what to do with it yet.
Yeah, except like just hold on to it. Like, I'm gonna need this later, I think. Maybe. You know? Yep. Regulus Black died at 15.
Yep.
Sirius Black's the little brother.
Yep.
Softer brother. He was a Death Eater. He joined the Death Eaters. Might not have known what he was actually getting into, though.
Yeah, I got in a little too deep and tried to back out, and you don't back out of the Death Eaters.
No.
It's a lifetime of service or death.
Right. Which made me think of something, Matt.
Yeah?
We know a couple Death Eaters that kind of left the Death Eaters.
Do we?
We know Karkaroff. We know Snape. But Death Eaters might think that Snape is back with them. Like, I don't know. It's not. I wasn't getting good vibes from that statement of, like, you don't leave the Death Eaters alive type of thing. Because we definitely know a couple Death Eaters that have left.
Or have they?
Or have they? Exactly. So we'll get to that, I'm sure, down the road.
It's possible.
Yeah, I think there's more to Regulus Black's story. Kind of, okay, this is what this felt like as this was kind of unfolding. Was when we first learned about Junior, right? It was like, there's this kid, he went down the wrong path, then he died. Or no.
Yep.
Went to Azkaban and then he died. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of thrown out there as this is information kind of filling in some background about another character type of thing. But then really behind our backs the whole time, like, he was an integral part of, like, the story. Right?
Yep.
So I kind of feel like they're going down this road again with Regulus Black. There was this kid, he was Death Eater, went down the wrong road, ended up dying. Now, I'm not saying that he's still alive and that was all a sham or anything like that. But maybe he is. You know? Like,
Yep.
At this point, I'm not taking anything for face value. There's a reason we learned about his backstory.
Sure.
Because that wasn't telling us anything about Sirius Black. You know?
Not really so much.
It was Black's family, sure. But that didn't do anything to further explain or add more value to Sirius Black as a character.
But you could say that about just about all these descriptions we got of his family.
And that's why most of the descriptions of the family I don't care about.
Okay.
Except for this one. Because he was a 15-year-old kid who joined the Death Eaters. Because either Voldy killed him or was killed by Voldy's... what's the word I'm thinking of?
Followers?
No. Like, direction. His
Orders.
There we go. That's the word. It just, you know, learning that Sirius Black's great-great-grandfather was headmaster at Hogwarts and one of the worst they've ever had, like, that's okay. That's interesting. But then we moved on quickly to a great aunt who was chopping off house elves' heads when they got too old to carry tea trays, you know?
Yep.
A lot of weird little information, but I think it was more or less kind of... That was setting the tone of, like, what the Blacks are as a family. Which, to me, they're not great people. You know,
Sure.
they lean to the dark side of things. They... probably most are Slytherin, to be honest with you. But, like, his brother, like, there was just a little bit more added value and explanation to him and everything that he went through for me to just dismiss it as we're just learning about the family.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not looking for confirmation one way or the other. I'm telling you that when he comes back around, I'm going to be able to sit here and say, remember that time when I was pretty sure Regulus Black was involved in something more than what we initially saw? I told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he's not, then people will forget this ever happened and we'll move on.
All right.
And then, like, the biggest bombshell of the night. Absolute biggest bombshell, Matt.
What would that be?
Tonks and Sirius are cousins.
They are.
That's awesome. Now, it kind of sounds like they're both the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
Which is why they probably get along so well, and they've both been burned off the family tree, right?
Yeah.
So, whatever. I'm cool. Like, if we had learned Tonks was a cousin after the next big reveal of Sirius Black's family, I would be a little hesitant to be happy about it. You know?
Why is that?
Because after I knew that Sirius and the rest of the Black family were related to the Malfoys in a very direct way, it kind of cemented the fact that the Black family is they're not good, Matt. Like, they're not upstanding citizens in the wizarding world, you know? They are, like, the complete opposite of how I see the Weasley family.
Sure.
Night and day, black and white, you know? Black and red, I guess.
Black and Weasley.
It's just you know, like, and then the Lestrange family, you know, we already know that they're part of the Death Eaters, and they're in Azkaban, or they were in Azkaban, and I don't know what's going on with the Lestranges, but you know, I have
It's a name you like to hear.
a deep fascination with that family, Matt.
Yep. We're getting there.
I'm starting to see why you were very concerned when you found out that that family was in Fantastic Beasts.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, just the mention of these names here gives you an idea of why we're interested, why everybody, I think, is interested to see where that Lestrange mention in Fantastic Beasts is going.
Wow. Because it was more than a mention. Like, that lady was a very, very important part of Newt. Thank you. I was already forgetting names. There's so many names going on in this chapter, man.
I know. We've been messing around with a lot of names tonight.
She was very important in Newt Scamander's life, and I feel like that's probably going to continue to develop over the next movies in that series.
Yeah. Why is Newt messing around with Lestranges?
Yeah. What did he know? Where were the Lestranges at that point? You know?
Yep.
Lots of questions. So every time the Lestrange family is mentioned, I definitely am instantly more interested because I'm trying to connect a lot of pieces that I don't even have yet. But we do know for sure the Lestranges were Death Eaters, at least Bellatrix and Rudolphus.
Yep.
They're Death Eaters. They're in Azkaban, or were in Azkaban. I'm not sure about like if they're still alive or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's clarified.
So, Bellatrix and Rudolphus and his brother, Ravistan, I don't know how to pronounce it.
That's a name I don't care about.
Yeah. Those three were the three that were brought in with Barty Crouch Jr.
Right.
So, we know Barty was basically almost dead when he escaped. So there's a good chance, the others could be in kind of the same position because they've been in just as long.
Right. But we don't know if they escaped also.
Well, we haven't heard anything about it yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, I don't know if they're, whether or not they're still alive or not. I don't want to put them in past tense.
And I mean, I think they made a point of that when Sirius escaped, like he was the first one to ever do so.
Right. But they didn't know that Barty escaped, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Right. So I'm not saying that they broke out, but I don't know what kind of shenanigans are going on in Azkaban at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just assume that they're dead without actually knowing that they're dead. Whatever. What I'm trying to say is we know that they're bad people. We know that they're part of the Death Eaters, and they were very proud of that fact. Like, they went down to Azkaban, very proud of the fact that they were Death Eaters and what they did and accomplished. And Voldy spoke highly of them. Like, he was happy to have them on his team.
Yeah, they didn't back down from supporting him.
Right.
That was the biggest thing. Is like, yeah, they were still proud Voldemort supporters. Yep. They were proud to go down for basically for supporting him.
Yeah, and he recognized that and he acknowledged it, and that's kind of scary, when he's giving them the big old giant creepy thumbs up. So the Lestranges, the Malfoys. You already know how I feel about the Malfoys. We know Lucius is a Death Eater, and again, he's not as dedicated, I think, as the Lestranges were, because he kind of went into hiding.
Yep.
When Voldy disappeared, he wasn't out there still, flying the banner. But he came back groveling and basically, trying to get his position back in the Death Eaters. All this to say, Malfoys, Lestranges, finding out that they're related to Sirius and the rest of the Black family, very concerning, but also kind of reconfirms that the Black family is definitely something that Sirius doesn't want to be a part of at all. So, if I had learned after all of that Tonks was his cousin, I would be raising an eyebrow and being a little hesitant to continue my budding love of the character.
Fair enough.
You know, because I'd be like, man, Malfoy's, Lestrange's, Tonks also? That's...
Yeah. So basically you're seeing this list coming in a couple of groups.
Yes.
And you're thinking Tonks is in a different group than the Lestranges and Malfoys.
Yeah, because she was mentioned beforehand. Like, that made me feel relaxed and okay. You know, I was like, oh, that's cool that they're cousins. You know, like, I didn't think anything malicious about it at all.
Yeah.
And then the other names got dropped, and I'm like, oh boy, that's trouble, you know? So, I think that was very deliberate on JK's part to not add any suspicion or doubt to Tonks, because that's the last thing we need right now in this group of Order of the Phoenix. You know, like, all these people surrounding Harry and surrounding we don't need to start worrying about a traitor in the group, and traitor in the traitor respect.
Yes.
You know, I don't have the emotional stability right now to start worrying about who's going to be stabbing who in the back at this point.
Yeah.
There's so many people coming and going, Matt. I don't need to be just giving up on Tonks already, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
She's one of the good ones, and I think it was important to list her before all the other ones to make everybody feel okay about her. Also, the fact that she was kind of kicked out of the family also, and she's doing her own thing. Okay, cool. This house, though. Okay. So we learned about the family. Family's awful.
Yep.
Mostly, like 98% of the family's awful. But this house that they're living in.
Mm-hmm.
There is... everything in this house is trying to kill people, Matt.
Pretty much.
It's a death trap. It's one giant death trap.
Do you understand a little bit more why cleaning it takes so long?
Yes, like you kept saying, it's a magical house. I'm like, yeah, I know, Matt. Like, yeah, it inflates and muggles can't see it. I know it's a magical. And you're like, no, it's a magical... Yeah, Matt, I know. There's magical people living inside it. No, Josh, it's a magical house. Okay. I just stopped arguing with you because I didn't understand what point you were trying to make. Now I do.
Yeah.
Like, every little box, every little corner, grandfather clocks, everything is trying to kill everybody in that house.
Yep.
It's frightening.
Yep.
And I can also see why everybody's kind of on edge in that house, especially, like, the kids. You know?
Yeah, you only go to areas you know are clean.
Which,
like
even then, with Creature running around, who knows?
Yeah.
You know?
You never know what he's brought in.
Yeah, you don't know what else he's jinxing after you go in and clean it out, and... oh, man, it's a nightmare scenario.
Pretty much, yeah.
But, you know, like Sirius said, like, it has the best security system Magic could buy, so... it makes sense that they're meeting there, but it's just awful. Yeah,
the fact that it's unplottable and its location is being held secret with that. Do you remember this Secret Keeper charm
Vaguely.
we've talked about before?
Yeah.
It
was familiar to me.
Yeah, this is the one that they used on the Potter's house way back in the day. And they were going to use, they were going to use Sirius as a secret keeper, but then at the last minute they switched it to Peter.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. This nightmare house of horrors. And one last thing in this chapter that I felt entertaining and interesting. Sirius Black and Harry Potter have the same little emo temper tantrums, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, they are much more alike than they probably should be.
Yeah, it's like they grew up, like Harry grew up with them.
Yeah.
Because that would totally make sense that Harry would act the way he does sometimes. Because it's like, well, that's exactly how Sirius acts.
Yeah, they didn't grow up together. They're not blood related. Like, it doesn't make sense, really, but it kind of does.
It just kind of strengthened the bond between them a little bit, for the readers.
Yep.
And I like it. I like Sirius, like, just kind of having like a little hissy fit about not being able to go to the hearing, and Mrs. Weasley kind of getting her way on this, and it was hilarious. I liked it.
There you go.
But that led us to Chapter 7, Matt.
It did. Chapter 7, the Ministry of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple of mentions, and, well, briefly met some other people, too, that, yeah, I'm sure you're going to ignore.
Yeah.
Got a mention of Scrimgeour, just someone they were talking about who seemed to be asking a lot of questions at the Ministry. Amelia Bones.
Mm-hmm. I noted that name, Matt.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we got mentioned, or we actually met Eric, the wand registration guy, and Bob. We met in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing too specific about them necessarily, but folks that Mr. Weasley definitely knew.
Yeah. This chapter, I wanted to like it more. I really did. But then it turned out to like really not have anything.
Yeah.
It had some things.
I mean, the biggest thing is this is our first look at the Ministry itself.
Right.
We've heard about the Ministry before, but this is the first time we're visiting the Ministry. And so, once again, as JK does with any new place she's talking about, like, we get a lot of description.
Sure.
She wants to make sure we all have the same place in mind.
And I did have to stop and think of it. Was this the first time? And then I realized that like the entire story is from Harry's perspective, and Harry's never been there.
Yep.
So we wouldn't have had any detailed description of it. And I think it's because of Fantastic Beasts and spending so much time in like their
in the MACUSA.
Yeah, where like in my head that was kind of like the representative of what I imagined the Ministry of Magic looking like. I also imagined, okay, this is going to be really weird, but I think you'll appreciate it a little bit. I imagined the entrance to the Ministry of Magic being something similar, if not exactly the same, as the entrance of Men in Black headquarters.
Yes, okay.
I don't, like, that was in my head.
Yeah.
Was like what I was picturing. Like you go through like those big doors and there's just like one guy sitting there and just like making sure you're okay on the up and up, and then you just go on through and here you are.
Well, I in that scenario, I believe he gets in an elevator next and it takes him to the place.
Right.
And it's just he gets really confused because the back door is open that he wasn't expecting.
Right.
But the more I think about it, it's not all that far off. Like, they get into the phone booth, and there's a mysterious voice who's checking him out, and then once she clears him, like, she sends him down the elevator.
Right.
There you go.
And like the Men in Black headquarters is very unassuming on the outside. Like nobody would ever go up to it or want to go inside of it because it's just, nothing exciting about it at all. It's pretty much an empty building on the outside. What I'm saying is I had my own preconceived notions of what we were going to be experiencing in this chapter that were kind of similar, but obviously slightly different in the chapter itself.
Well, you could think of it this way, that maybe that would be the American version and this is the British version.
Yeah. I like that. I could do that. Okay, so Harry, it was mentioned Mrs. Weasley put out Harry's best set of clothes.
Yep.
Jeans and a t-shirt.
Yep.
I was like, okay, that's his best clothes.
Okay, keep in mind, like, if we were talking wizarding clothes, sure, he has like dress robes,
right?
But as far as Muggle clothes, he's never needed any fancy Muggle clothes, and when he's staying at the Dursleys, they definitely would not give him anything fancy,
right? Yeah.
So he's just going to have casual Muggle clothes,
sure,
and so his best is just something clean and hopefully without holes. Like
slightly fitting, maybe.
Yeah, that's the best he can hope for.
Yeah.
Because since we've already discussed, Harry doesn't necessarily spend money on himself.
Right.
So,
I also didn't think that he would be wearing his robes.
Yeah.
For some reason, like in my head, that was just a Hogwarts thing, and that was it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they were going through the Muggle entrance.
Yeah.
You know, they're traveling with Muggle transportation.
Right.
He's not going to be wearing robes, definitely.
Right. But do they put on their robes? Because there's mention once they get into the building of like checking their robes, or he attached the pin to his robe or something like that.
I don't think Harry ever had robes. I think Mr. Weasley did.
Okay.
But did he attach the pin?
Because there's definitely a mention of their robes, but there was never a mention like they put on robes or they left the house in robes, and that's why.
I think Mr. Weasley it did say he had robes, but he had like Muggle clothes on top of his robes or something like that.
I don't know. Again, I hear things, and sometimes what I hear isn't necessarily the truth, Matt.
Oh yeah.
You could be looking through the whole chapter. That's not too important. Somebody could write in and let us know.
Yeah, well, for Harry at least, he when he got the pin, he pinned it to the front of his T-shirt. It says so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Harry never had his robes, but
okay.
Yeah,
there's a mention of robes somewhere. I just don't know where.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harry's hair.
Yes.
It's a reoccurring theme throughout all the books about how unkempt
super
and messy his hair is.
Yep.
It's definitely his look. It's, something he can't help. Like Mrs. Weasley, like, will your hair ever lay down? He's like, no, stop.
Yeah.
Like, I've been trying for 15 years now.
Pretty much. Like, Aunt Petunia basically tried the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They got so fed up with it that they just cut it and shaved his head, and
right.
It just grew back.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it grew back, it was the same mess.
Yeah,
like I think that's kind of part of, like, it was Harry's first magic.
Yes.
Before he even realized it.
Right.
And I almost feel like that's kind of something that he's always kind of controlling in the back of his mind, like subconsciously, like rebelling against everybody.
Sure.
And he's just been doing it for so long that he doesn't even realize it.
Right.
Like, I kind of wonder if he would like try to focus on it more. Like, could he like turn that off?
Yeah.
But
I mean, we just met a character who's able to change her hair at will. So,
yep.
There's hope, I guess, is what I'm saying. Also, I want there to be a long game to this. Like, I don't know why, and this is so stupid, but I want there to be, like, some payoff in the end of this story with Harry Potter and his messy hair. Just
sure.
Because we're always being reminded of his messy hair. Like, I just need it to, like, have some sort of ending to this.
He has his mother's eyes.
He has his mother's eyes and is dad's messy hair? Like, I don't...
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know what the long game is, but we'll find out, hopefully. Mr. Weasley.
Yeah.
He's too hilarious for his own good.
We love that guy.
He's just so in love with the Muggle world.
He is.
I want just like a spin-off series of just like following Mr. Weasley around in the Muggle world on a normal like workday, you know?
Yeah.
So good. He's just fascinated by everything.
He is, because it's stuff they don't use, stuff they don't need in the wizarding world.
Yeah. And I like how Harry still has to work the transactions for him. Like,
Yep.
Last year at the Quidditch World Cup, Harry had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, Mr. Weasley, you are around Muggle money enough to figure this out, to know how this works by now. You know?
I've always had a little problem with that one. Like, I mean, as weird as some money can be, it's generally speaking, it's basic math.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can figure out wizard money, you can totally figure out Muggle money.
Right. I mean, like, if you went to a foreign country, right, they're going to have a different currency system. And right off the bat, you're going to get a handful of coins and bills, and you're not going to know anything at all about it. But after a few transactions, you're going to start picking up on it. You'll get the hang of it.
But to be perfectly honest, like, this might be the first time since the World Cup that he's even dealt with Muggle money.
It's possible, but I also feel like he's around it much more than we give him credit for, you know?
I mean, he's around Muggles and Muggle things, but why would he ever have to actually make transactions?
Maybe not have to, but maybe his just, like, sheer curiosity and enjoyment of Muggle things would allow him to learn about it.
Yep. I would agree.
It just feels weird that he hasn't put in the time to understand something that he's clearly completely fascinated by.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, look at this Muggle money. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with it.
He's basically taking a Muggle car all the way apart and put it back together with a few modifications, but he can't figure out their money.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know. That it just cracks me up.
That's good.
Yeah. They finally they take the subway. They're walking around, like, Mr. Weasley isn't sure exactly where the building is because he always apparates to work, you know?
Yep.
This is a new thing for him.
Never had to use this entrance.
Awesome. Could you imagine just apparating to work?
That'd be amazing.
I mean, as we saw in the last chapter, the twins do it from room to room. Again, time is galleons, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wizards have transportation down, that's for sure.
That they do. So Harry and Mr. Weasley stumble into this back alley in this old deserted phone box. I'm picturing all these Doctor Who references going on here. And I'm like, what's the connection? Like, this is starting to get a little creepy. I don't know if JK is a fan of Doctor Who. Kind of feels like it in a little bit, you know. But hey, whatever. It was a cool thing for them to get in this old, dilapidated, broken down phone booth and it actually be the entrance and elevator down to the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah,
I'll accept it. One of the most interesting things in the Ministry of Magic, Matt.
What's that?
Actually, there were two things that really caught my eye.
Okay.
That I really appreciated.
Yeah.
The way that they deliver inner office memos.
Yes, absolutely.
Paper airplanes.
Paper airplanes. I mean, they're magical paper airplanes, but still, paper airplanes. Perfect.
I feel like this is Google's office. You know, like...
Yes.
They're just a bunch of kids in this building just playing with whatever toys that they can, you know?
Yep.
Trying to make work as fun as possible here. They tried owls, apparently, but it was too much of a mess. Go figure.
Well, you've seen the owlery.
Yeah.
You don't want that in your office.
No. So paper airplanes, brilliant. Which, again, I appreciate because of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah,
because that's definitely something that we saw in the Makuza.
I believe we did.
Little paper airplanes that they hit the desk and then they turn into little paper critters that walk around.
Sure.
So that was the first thing. The second thing, and I think is the most important thing, and I don't think it was introduced with no explanation for a reason, because I think it's going to be important going on further into the story and how the Ministry of Magic all works into this whole thing. But they have a giant statue, or like a centerpiece.
Yep.
With 5 different statues.
Yes.
Of a witch, a wizard, a centaur,
yep,
a goblin, and a house elf.
Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I mean, especially the way she describes it.
Yeah.
That the last 3 were, let's see, they were like looking up in awe or something like that.
At the witch and wizard.
At the witch and wizard, yeah.
Yeah. But still, those 3 creatures, of everything.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if this is supposed to symbolize, like, an alliance. I don't know if it's supposed to symbolize... I don't know what specifically it's supposed to symbolize yet. But I feel like it's important, or it's going to be important going forward. Like, we learned about this for a reason.
Well, we know it's called the Fountain of Magical Brethren.
There we go. But of all the things, though, now, you know my fascination with house elves, and you know how interested I am in the Goblin Rebellion of days gone by.
Yep.
Centaurs are something that we haven't really... Like, I don't even know if they've even been mentioned since the first book.
Yeah, since Harry met him in the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're getting close to, like, bringing those creatures back. Like, we learned... Was it 3 of them? Or 4?
Like names?
Yeah. Like,
See,
we met specific ones in the forest.
Yeah. There's... What, Bane, Ronan...
Oh, there's no chance I'm remembering any of the names.
There's at least one more by name.
Yeah, I want to say there's 3. 3 that we know names of that Harry met in person.
I think that's what you know so far.
So, I just feel like we're getting close to them coming back into the story. Like, we're not done with them. They just went back in the forest to keep doing their own thing. But I remember one of them was like... Man, now I want to go back and read it, because, like, I think one of them was trying to predict the future, or was being, like, super weird about things. And that was before we had Trelawney. So at this point, like, that was the weirdest thing of the entire story. So now I'm, like, super fascinated by centaurs again, and, like, what's their deal, What are they doing? Why are they obsessed with the moon? So many questions now, Matt. Anyway, that fountain statue, interesting.
There's the fountain. Yep.
Wand registration process, that was interesting.
Yeah, the fact that they have some sort of, well, I suppose it's not really a machine. It's probably just something magical, but that can tell you exactly what the wand is made of, and even more importantly, how long it's been in use.
Yes, that's what I honed in on.
Yeah?
Yeah. That could come in handy,
I bet it could.
Yeah. I don't know. We might get that back at some point, I feel like.
All right.
But I like how they allowed Harry to keep his wand,
Oh, yeah, they didn't take it away. It just...
Like, I expected he was going to have to check it in at the desk, and then, like, that piece of paper was going to be, like, his pickup receipt, like...
Sure, it was going to be more like a coat check.
Yeah, like, turn
as
this in, you
opposed
get your wand
to...
back.
Yeah, like, this is more like going through security, like, going through metal detector.
TSA.
Like, they just want to know I guess, what magic is in the building.
Right. Yeah.
Because like he ran that like golden stick like up and down their body too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think to see if like they had anything concealed.
Where's your invisibility cloak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it could detect other magic.
Right.
But yeah, then
pretty much.
Know
I feel like that's the reason why Mad-Eye Moody hasn't been back to the Ministry of Magic in years, is because he doesn't trust all the gizmos and gadgets that try to find magical things on him.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow his eye.
No, he would just be like the conspiracy theorist and be like, okay, well, you're scanning me, but you're probably giving me some form of cancer at the same time and bugging me, or, you know, like, he would just be ridiculous about it.
Yeah.
He would be the guy to fight TSA trying to get on an airplane. You want me to take off my shoes? Are you kidding me? You know, he'd be that guy.
Everybody else does.
He doesn't care. I decided that if I was working in the Ministry of Magic, I would be working on level 4.
Why is that?
That was the one with all the creatures and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. On level 3, there was the Muggle Worthy Excuse Committee.
You caught that one, did you?
That one, yeah. That one, I couldn't let go by me. I don't know what that means, but it sounds hilarious.
Yeah. It's a little vague, but from the sound of it, like my first instinct is they come up with excuses that so like we've talked about how they have to oftentimes erase memories.
Yep.
Like they do in Men in Black.
Yep. That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah. They always have to give them a new memory to replace that.
Yep.
So that's kind of what the Muggle-worthy excuse committee does in my head.
They come up with explanations of things that they seemingly just forgot about.
Yes.
So many interesting departments in the ministry, Matt.
Absolutely.
That we just don't know enough about. Like, there could be a whole book dedicated to, like, the inner workings of the ministry, I think.
I bet there could.
The very least, a book. Also, something else that I very much appreciate is the maintenance department of the Ministry of Magic.
They control the weather, or the windows at least.
As a guy that does commercial maintenance for a living, Matt,
yeah,
I kind of connected with this a little bit. You know, like, the maintenance department, I'm sure, gets overlooked and forgotten about unless something goes wrong or is broken, and then all of a sudden you remember that you have people there that could fix things for you. But other than that, when everything's working good and on the up and up, you don't ever think about the maintenance guys, right? It's only when you need them to do something for you. So, like, with them wanting a pay raise and them, you know, probably being a little disgruntled about it, they're just like, hey, I don't think you guys actually appreciate how much we do in this building to make everybody else's day-to-day operations here a little bit better. Like having nice weather out your fake windows. So, until we get our pay raise, you're going to have 2 months of hurricanes until we get what we want. And then it's like, oh crap, those guys actually do have an impact even when things aren't going wrong, you know? Like, they're still important.
Yep.
So I appreciated that little tidbit in there, you know? Just a little thing, but still very cool all the same.
Absolutely.
Mr. Weasley's office is pretty much exactly how I pictured it to be.
Yeah.
Weird little...
nice and cramped.
Cramped and Muggle things and, like, diagrams and schematics of, like, how Muggle things work, and a picture of his family that Percy has walked away from. Percy. But yeah, that, like, the description of his office, I was like, yep, that's pretty fitting. Yep. Nothing, no surprise there, you know? Then we found out that Harry's, not trial, but his
hearing,
The venue got changed. The time got changed. This is all very shifty and shady to me, Matt.
Yeah, it is to everyone pretty much.
Yeah, Mr. Weasley's very concerned, and he kind of feels like he has an idea of why this is happening, which doesn't put him in any sort of better mood.
No.
Makes him even more distressed and concerned. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. But I was excited to find out, Matt.
Yeah.
But Merlin's beard, you pulled the rug out from under me and you ended the chapter, and I have to wait a week before we actually get through the hearing and find out the fate of Harry Potter at Hogwarts. How dare you, Matt? How dare you, good sir?
I do my best.
I also really want to use Merlin's beard in like everyday speech, like instead of unfavorable choice words. I want to start saying Merlin's beard just to see if it catches on.
You should try that.
I'm going to. I mean,
I bet we could.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Did I miss anything in these two chapters? Like, I just feel like I rambled on forever, and we didn't really get anywhere.
We got to the ministry.
We got to the hearing. That's going to be happening. Harry's stepping into the chambers. We're about to get on it, and we'll have to find out what happens next week.
Yep.
I guess.
I mean, my only other option here, I guess, would have been to make it another 3-chapter week. And once again, that would have made it really long.
Sure. No, I get that.
It might have given you more information, but it would have been really long, too. So
I just maybe I feel disappointed because both chapters were kind of anticlimactic in their own ways.
Yeah.
And both of them were world-building chapters, so to have them bunched together just kind of felt like an uneventful week.
Yeah. And for our format, I understand where you're coming from. But down the road, I think you'll appreciate these chapters a little bit more than you do now.
Okay.
Like, there's stuff in here that makes sense as to why we needed these chapters, I think.
I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah. But I completely understand with these being the only 2 chapters you get to read this week, why you feel the way you feel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. And like you pointed out before, like the book got off to such a crazy start.
Yep.
Where this was kind of like a good week to just kind of exhale a little bit and relax. Maybe it's the holiday week, and maybe this was all intentional from the beginning, Matt.
Maybe.
We knew it was going to be a short turnaround week, and there was going to be a holiday, and then you were like, you know what? I can't put Josh on like this emotional roller coaster every single week, so we just need to have a down week before things start getting real again. So,
yeah.
Maybe I'm not giving you enough credit.
We'll see.
Regardless, those were the chapters. And the most exciting part about the 2 chapters is the Muggle poll, which we put up on our Twitter account at Tales from GH.
When I remember.
Usually posts about 4 p.m. Pacific time on the day we record.
So I've mentioned this before. I have an alarm set to put it up. It's set for 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
And so I have time to get it ready, get it typed up, get it posted. But the problem being with our schedule change, I didn't change my alarm.
Right.
And that's why I was up a little late.
The best part is going to be the confusing alarm that goes off tomorrow that you're not going to be sure what to do with.
Yeah.
Regardless, normally 4 p.m. Pacific time on the day we record. If you don't see it up by like 4:15 or so, send us a tweet like Taryn did. She's like, "Hey guys, what's going on? We getting a Muggle poll?" Usually that will spur Matt into action, and we'll get it taken care of.
Yep.
So, Muggle poll this week. Matt, what was the question? What are the choices? What did the people have to choose from?
All right. This week we're playing Would You Rather. So, choices are, would you rather be trapped with Creature? be stuck cleaning with Mrs. Weasley, specifically the House of Black, or would you want to attend the hearing for Harry?
Interesting choices.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll tell you how I'm feeling about this before you tell me what the people said out there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see what the hearing is going to consist of.
Sure.
Now, everybody else that participated in this knows what is about to happen in the hearing. So that may have swayed their decision some way or another. I only know of Harry stepping into the room, and that's it. So I don't know what to expect from this hearing.
But so you know how much he's dreading it.
Yeah, but he also works himself up and, like, sensationalizes things sometimes in his own head.
Sure.
You know, so, would I rather? I don't know. I know what I absolutely would not want to do, and that's be stuck in a room with Creature.
Sure.
Because that would just be unbearable. So I feel like cleaning, even if it is the House of Black, with Mrs. Weasley would be the best of the options, simply because, like, even though it would be hard work, I feel like she could probably keep me safe from, like, weird things going on in the house, and it's not the worst thing you could be doing. Especially if they have, like, the twins around, you know? They're going to add some entertainment value. Yep. And Mrs. Weasley isn't bad. She's strict to a point, you know? She's not like Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon type strict.
Yeah.
So
she'll still feed you.
Yeah. She'll give you cakes and sandwiches and stuff afterward and make sure you're doing good and well, but she'll expect some hard work out of you for it. But, you know, that's not too bad.
Yep.
What do the people say, though, Matt?
The people, I think, basically went with you. So we have 51% for cleaning. We actually had 40% for attending the hearing then.
Okay.
But that still leaves an amazing 9% who would rather be trapped in a room with Creature.
Those are the people I want to talk to, Matt. Like, I want to know. If you're part of that 9%, you need to write in an email for next week's show. talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. I almost forgot the email address, Matt. I'm so worked up about this. If you're one of those 9%, write in an email. Let us know what on earth you were thinking to making that the best option. Maybe they read it as the worst option. Or what would you least like to do?
I'm curious as well. Like, some weeks, I will admit, with my choices that I make for these polls, my goal is to get one option that has 0%.
We've yet to do it, right?
We've yet to do it. Every week, there are multiple people that choose that one option. But if there was any week, I would have thought that this would have been the week.
Unless people know something about Creature that I don't, and that you can't tell me, and you're just playing coy. Because everybody has knowledge about these three circumstances farther than I do. So, I don't know. I'm curious, though, if it's something that I can know, why that was the best option of the three. Like, I could definitely see going between Mrs. Weasley and the hearing, like having a toss-up between those two.
Sure.
I can't wrap my head around why you'd want to be locked in a room with Creature.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about that at all.
I'm with you there.
But, you know, hey, that's why we do these things, to learn more about our audience. And today we learned that 9% of you are a little out there, you know? I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You're a different breed. So, hey, that's what we do.
All right.
Matt, it's time. Yes. It's time for the email part of the podcast.
Your favorite section, right?
If we have emails, of course.
Amazingly, people did manage to write in. On top of all the other emails we asked them to send in this week.
That's true.
So
it's probably everybody that is not in the United States that has a non-vacation and non-holiday week.
Sure. All right. Our first email this week comes from Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Says, hi guys, it's weird to to sit at my desk on a Friday and read. I usually do so on Monday. But even if you guys weren't recording day early, I'm off on Monday, so I wouldn't probably still be doing it today. I can't always get to my computer at home, and I don't like to write long stuff on my phone. Still weird though.
Sure. It's weird for us too, as you could tell.
Yeah. Says, Josh, I'm glad I made you happy with the Tonks' Hufflepuff news.
That was the best news I got all week.
Yeah. But I'm sorry that I teased you about another favorite character coming up. I promise it will be okay.
All right, we'll see.
Of course, Mrs. Weasley doesn't trust her kids. She raised Fred and George. She knows what's what. And Ron can't really be regretful about it when he's doing exactly what she told him not to. I wonder if Josh is going to be upset about the dead puffskin nest that Molly found. Another downside to doing this on Friday is that I can't read Josh's notes before I send in my email.
I'm not upset. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
You know, I can't be upset about something I don't know about.
She says, even if he doesn't know what they are, I'm sure having a dead magical creature is no small potatoes to him.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I just did condone the death of creatures, so...
It's true. Lockhart's name is mentioned, and I can just imagine how Josh is going to react. Maybe some eye rolling? Skeeving snack boxes. Fred and George are really brilliant. They've already started their business by owl order and putting the advertisements in the paper that their mother won't read because of all the lies it spews. Genius. Those two are going places. Creature. There's so much more to Creature than we are told here. But from what I can remember from my first time reading this, I was annoyed that we had to hear all his mumbling and his insults and such. But the poor thing is despised by everyone. Hermione's right. They should be nice to him. Maybe if things weren't so bad for everyone involved. Maybe if they were, things wouldn't be so bad for everyone involved. And we get a bit of stuff about the Black family, including Regulus and Bellatrix. Sirius really hates being here with all the reminders. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. Probably why he wants to leave the house so much, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably doesn't help.
Yeah.
Mr. Weasley being so taken and excited about Muggle stuff makes me giggle. He's like a kid in a candy store. Imagine if this guy ever discovered Google. He could learn about everything he ever wanted. It would be like heaven for him. All right, here's something I know a few people have mentioned in the emails. When they got into the phone box, 62442 was the number he dialed. You put any thought into that?
No, I didn't even pick up on that.
So, our younger fans might not understand this.
Okay.
But you know how the numbers on the phone are assigned letters, right?
Yeah, I remember that, Matt.
Yeah. 62442 spells magic.
It does.
It does.
That is fantastic.
Marissa says, I didn't realize that until someone pointed it out to me.
Oh, JK, you're too much.
Yeah. She's done it again. I love all the different departments we get to hear about. My favorite is the Muggle-worthy excuse committee. Can you imagine your job being coming up with excuses to give Muggles when they see something magical so you don't have to wipe their memories? So fun. And cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger indeed.
Everybody loves cliffhangers. Don't deny it.
Well, I mean, gives me a reason to come back next week, Matt.
Yeah, we'll get you back. Next email from Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
It says, hello, Muggle and Professor. I decided since I binge listened to the podcast to catch up and didn't read along with it, that I would go back to the beginning. Remember when the Muggle was not surprised at the revelation that Hagrid was a half-giant? Listening to the second episode and Chapter 4, do Audible and Jim Dale is fantastic. I figured out why Josh assumed Hagrid was a giant. Hagrid calls him a giant before he knows his... Or Harry calls him a giant before he knows his name. When he burst the door down, and we have the description from Harry's point of view. This is a quote from the book then, I believe. It says, a giant of a man was standing in the doorway. His face was almost completely hidden by a long, shaggy mane of wild hair, tangled beard. We could make out his eyes glinting like black beetles under all the hair. The giant squeezed his way into the hut, stooping so that his head just brushed the ceiling. Since it says giant, that's why some of us readers were never surprised by the revelation. We knew it from the beginning. During this week's podcast, Josh remembered Tonks' name, but he's not sure why. When he... this goes back to when you were sorted on Pottermore.
Oh?
Yeah. You read the little description out loud about Hufflepuff. It mentions Cedric Diggory and Nymphadora Tonks as memorable Hufflepuff characters. So Josh was not wrong in recognizing her name.
Of course.
There you go.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I honestly did not remember that. So thank you, Ashley.
You would never know that because you weren't sorted into Hufflepuff, Matt.
Well, but you obviously read it out on the show.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's true. See, and then I just tucked that name away. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to remember this Hufflepuff at some point down the road. I'm gonna store this for later.
Remember your own.
Got to.
Yeah.
We have to stick together, Matt. We're a dying breed.
Yep. Actually, no. We have plenty of Hufflepuffs in the audience. What are you talking about?
I mean, Cedric passed away, so.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as characters are concerned, not.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Next email from Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
It says, actually, hold on a minute.
She says, spoiler.
Well, I just realized she just addressed it, hi, Matt. So I was like, wait, was I supposed to read this one?
Uh-oh.
But no, I think we're all good.
Okay.
She says, being a mom, I have to defend Molly and how she reacted with Sirius. Molly is acting like a protective mother. This is something Harry does not understand since his mother died when he was young, and his aunt did everything she could to not act like his mother. Sirius is much like Harry in that his mother was the worst kind of mother, a verbally abusive woman. So Sirius also doesn't understand Molly's concern. Ironically, a mother's love is one of the biggest things Harry longs for, and once someone shows him that kind of love, he chooses his anger over her love and turns away. Then there's Percy. Everybody wants to hate on him, but I kind of understand where he's coming from. He's one of the middle children in a large group of kids. His older siblings are considered very successful and cool. The twins have each other. Ron has a famous Harry Potter as his best friend. And Ginny, well, she's the baby and the only girl. Poor Percy is the odd man out and is struggling to be recognized. Any attention, even bad attention, is still attention. Percy wants to find out... Percy finds what he wants by trying to be an authority, such as being a prefect at Hogwarts. Now he is finding power and attention at the Ministry of Magic. He's not unlike Harry in that once he gets the attention he longs for from his family, he turns his back on them. I'll stop there for now. Do you have any reaction to that?
No, I totally understand it.
Yeah. That's definitely the best explanation I've ever heard of why they're acting the way they're acting.
Yeah.
And I never would have I mean, she even drew a line there between Harry and Percy, like,
right.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. And to be fair, like, I don't think I ever faulted Mrs. Weasley, you know.
Sure.
So.
She says, as for the Muggle parents who find out their child is a witch or wizard, I would guess that the parents who are not happy would not be sending their children to magical school. They would be much like Harry when he was with the Dursleys. They would know that there was something odd about themselves, but would never have the training to be able to advance to the next level of magic. Also, gotta love how clever J.K. is with her writing. Rita being a literal bug on the wall, and now Sirius's mom is a picture worth 1,000 words.
Most of them incoherent and just yelling and screaming, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next email is from Christy, our winner from this week in the giveaway.
Christy.
She says, "Dear Professor and Muggle, I'm an older Harry Potter fan, mother of 4, 3 girls and their little brother. My oldest daughter actually introduced me to the series when she started reading it at 8 years old. She's now 22 with 2 kids of her own and still loves the series. I don't think I was able to read the whole series because life kind of took over my spare time, but I have seen all the movies numerous times. Nursing school took up what work and family didn't. I say that because when I started book 3, I was thinking I knew what I was going to find, but boy, was I wrong. There was so much more to the book than I remember reading, and then I realized I had only read the first 2. So I got excited. I found your podcast completely by accident on YouTube while I was looking for the Harry Potter audiobooks to listen to while at work. I came in around the middle of book 3. I caught up. Almost was two episodes from being there, and I decided I wanted to hear what you said from the beginning and read or listen with you. I got the audiobooks to download so I could listen without having to search for chapters, and found the first episode on YouTube, episode 5, by the way. I have loved listening to you guys. I've laughed and argued out loud with Josh so much. I'm sure my clients' parents think I'm crazy if they watch the video feed from the room. I'm a private duty pediatric home health nurse. I say private duty because I only have one client. I work 12 hours overnight caring for critically ill little love. You guys have helped keep me awake every night since the beginning of April. Thank you.
Wow. No, thank you.
Now
I hope
to
this
the
episode
chapters.
doesn't put you to sleep because this chapters almost did for me.
It's all good. Friend George aberrating onto Ron's knees. Ouch. Poor Ron, and he wasn't even the one that they really came to talk to.
I think he's used to that.
Yeah. Once again, wondered what the weapon is. Any ideas, Josh?
Again, everybody says what the weapon is. Who?
I think that's what they say in the book too, don't they?
Uh-huh. Yeah. But
all right.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
What a house. Doxies. Can't wait to see what Fred and George do with them, as well as the stuff in the snuff box that they took out of the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Oh, that creature. I say make his dream come true, Sirius, but no, that's too cruel, even though he's rude and terrible. Sirius's family was just loads of fun, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Tonks.
You love them. Yes.
She kind of makes everything better. Like, I keep thinking about how awful that family is, and it's like, well, I mean, Tonks is still there. So.
There's Tonks. Yes. Mrs. Weasley cracks me up trying to comb down Harry's hair. Poor Harry being so nervous he can't eat. I wish Snuffles had been able to go with him. It might have made him feel better. But it's probably better that he didn't, because who knows if anyone at the ministry knows about his alter ego.
Yeah, what kind of, like, alarms would have been set off of him, like, walking through?
Yeah, do they have to scan, if they scan a dog for magic? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, that would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure most of the people in the Ministry of Magic are still under the assumption that he's a wanted fugitive and killed a bunch of people back in the day.
That's why he's in hiding.
So, yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah, imagine trying to fit the dog into the phone booth, too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was not bigger on the inside.
No, that seems crammed.
Yeah. Mr. Weasley is adorable with his love of all things Muggle. Putting the mouthpiece of the receiver to his ear. I thought Harry explained how telephones worked in 3 summers ago.
He doesn't listen.
I think he explained to Ron, or did he explain to... Oh, maybe he did explain it to Mr. Weasley.
I don't remember now.
Yeah. I want to say that Harry like wrote in a note or something that he told Mr. Weasley how to work them.
Yeah, that's possible.
So Ron should ask him.
Oh, yeah, because Mr. Weasley was going to be calling Uncle Vernon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Like I said, with the Muggle money, he doesn't learn quickly. Change the time, the location and time of Harry's hearing on short notice. I have a feeling they were hoping he'd miss it.
Yep.
Yeah. And finally, Department of Mysteries. What a dark and gloomy place that sounds like.
Maybe? Like, I don't see it as dark and gloomy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. That would be an interesting little place to hang out. I don't know.
All
Maybe
right.
I'm looking at it differently.
Let me see here. Next, we have another email from Cindy.
Hello again,
She
Cindy.
was... What was that?
I said hello again, Cindy.
Okay. So she was the one who wrote in last week about the gravestone, the headstone.
Oh, right.
Or no, that would have been... Was that in the Butterbeer Banter episode, I think?
Possibly.
I think it was in the Butterbeer Banter episode.
Matt, we've recorded so much in the last week, I don't even remember
I know.
which shows which.
I know. In any case, we had a few questions about it, and she...
The gravesite with the one burial plot. And...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So she went out and took a picture of it for us.
Oh,
So
no.
you should have the picture of the headstone now.
I wasn't
Says-
ready for this.
After hearing a comment about the gravesite my family inherited, I decided you might like to see what the headstone looks like. Attached to the picture I took of it today. It's a bit hard to read since it's so old, but it does say Gertrude B. Meads, 1863 through 1884.
It sure
So I don't-
is.
Yeah, I don't think that's the one you found, because I think you had 1888.
Right.
Said, I had to laugh when you read the story during the podcast. When I originally wrote it, I ended it with, so creepy. I decided that maybe I shouldn't add that to my email, and I deleted it. But then I laughed when Josh's first comment was, so creepy. He must have read my mind.
Oh, that is so creepy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there you go.
I still can't wrap my head around the fact that that's the only person buried there.
That's what she says.
I know. I'm not doubting her. I'm just...
I mean, it's basically, I mean, it sounds like it's private property. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little weird why the husband or who wasn't ever buried there.
He moved away, right? Or something?
Yeah, but still, like, you would think that if his wife was there,
If he didn't, like, have it in a will or something, maybe people didn't know
guess.
about it.
I guess.
Again, so many questions.
Yeah.
Man, we didn't take this to Unsolved Mysteries, Matt.
Go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy, for sending that in.
Absolutely. Next email from Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
So he is writing about you question the trunks.
Oh, right. Whether or not they're magical or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says, here's what JK had to say about their school trunks. This is from a Pottermore entry.
Okay.
So once again, it's not in the books, but this is what she says. She says Hogwarts school trunks, like the majority of wizarding luggage, are issued with capacity enhancing or extension charms as standard.
Oh.
These spells not only increase the interior dimensions of objects while leaving the outer ones unchanged, but they also render the contents lighter.
Okay.
He says there's more there's more information on the extension charms in the entry, but some of it contains spoilers, so we'll just leave it there. You're right that she never mentioned it in books, but either way, But either she always had this in mind and just never mentioned it, or she came up with it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling it was the latter, since she always seems to at least hint that something's been expanded magically when she wants us to know that. And I personally would agree with that too.
Yeah.
That's why I made the comment last week that I didn't think they were magical,
right.
Because she never said anything about it. Patrick says, then, regardless, it makes sense to me because these kids have to fit almost a whole year's worth of stuff into one trunk,
right?
Plus lug them around with a birdcage on top.
Sure. Which I would have been fine with if it wasn't for Hermione and her entire library of textbooks that she's always bringing.
Yeah.
Like, that was the only hang-up I ever had with them. Like, I could see Ron and Harry being totally fine packing a couple pairs of clothes. You know, like, we know all their things get laundered by the house elves, and you know, they don't need a whole lot because everything they really need is already at Hogwarts.
Yep.
But like Hermione bringing an entire bookshelf worth of textbooks, it's like, there's something to them, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad she went back and retconned that.
There you go. Next, we got our email from our headmistress, Mel B.
Hello, Mel B.
Says, hi guys. Josh, you said last week that you think the media and ministry are going after Dumbledore and using Harry as a way to get to Dumbledore, and I instantly realized that's exactly what they're doing. So, personal story time. Sharing with God knows how many listeners.
Millions, Mel B. Millions.
Yes.
Pretty much all of Australia.
Last year, I was training under a mentor in armored combat, and this mentor had a few... I know. I started questioning that right away, too. I'm like,
okay.
So many things we don't know about you, Mel. And this mentor had a few people who did not like him. There was one guy in particular, let's call him Adam, who hates my mentor's guts to an extreme level. One day, when my mentor had not yet arrived, Adam approached me and caused a big deal over a piece of armor that I had. He alleged that it was stolen from the group armor, which I was subtly excluded from using because Adam controlled it and I was a student to my mentor. All I could say was it was made by my mentor years ago and given to me to use. That's all I knew. Adam made such a big deal out of it, getting officials from the group involved and having me essentially interrogated. I was in tears 15 minutes later when my mentor showed up. He was able to clear up the issue within 2 minutes by pointing out that he had made the armor, donated it, and then taken it back over a year ago by signing it out when he did so. And there was a clear record of him doing this. So there never should have been an issue. Afterwards, my mentor pulled me aside to make sure that I was okay, and he assured me that not only had I done nothing wrong, but that Adam had gone after me specifically because of my mentor. I was collateral damage to this. Adam was trying to hurt my mentor, and he was using me to do so. It happens. There you go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, on to this week's chapters. I've mentioned before that Sirius is my favorite character, and a huge part of that is learning where he came from. He came from a place of prejudice. His entire family were pureblood, and thought that made them more superior than everyone else. The Black family motto, it's in French, and I'm not going to try to read it. Does Val do well with those?
Some she's okay with, some not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to try this one.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't make sense in English.
Right.
So I have no...
She offered to
anyway.
to spell it for me when she was reading it, and I was like, no,
sure.
Not
Sure.
necessary.
Well, all you need to know is the Black family motto in English, it translates to always pure.
Oh.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
They are so clearly obsessed with their bloodlines and superiority and impress this upon their children. For Sirius to be able to see past his parents' teachings and be a Gryffindor is amazing. I don't think it's a surprise or spoiler to say his family were all Slytherin, which, I know you mentioned that earlier this episode. So
yeah.
I didn't, yeah. You can tell it is so hard for Sirius, who is a strong Gryffindor, to not only be cooped up and unable to help, but also be forced to stay in a place with undoubtedly bad memories.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the Lestranges are mentioned. And this will undoubtedly make Josh very happy, and he will have questions and want to discover more information about this family.
Definitely.
I would actually be very interested in if J.K. released a book on the Sacred 28 pureblood families. For Josh's information, this was never mentioned in the books, but the Sacred 28 are the 28 pureblood families that have no evidence of Muggle blood in their lines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we know of like a handful of them already, but there's 28, huh?
Yeah, I mean, just in these chapters we talked about the Blacks,
right? Malfoy's,
Lestrange,
Weasleys.
Hmm. So I mean, you got 4 out of 28 there,
right? There's probably a few last names at Hogwarts that we don't know are purebred families. Pure blood.
We know what you're going for.
Yep.
Next chapter. This is a fun little chapter that really shows us that the magical world, well, existing within the Muggle world, is just so fun and fantastic. But there are some dark overtones with the fountain, showing a wizard in a place of superiority with the magical creatures. She says, and the witch gazing up at him in adoration, which I don't believe is true. I believe it's only the 3 magical creatures are staring up at the witch and wizard.
You know what? That does sound right, though. I remember it being the 3, and then the witch was mentioned separately.
So it says, a group of golden statues larger than life-size stood in the middle of a circular pool. Tallest of them all was a noble-looking wizard, and his wand pointing straight up in the air. Grouped around him were a beautiful witch, a centaur, a goblin, and a house elf. The last 3 were all looking up adoringly up at the witch and wizard.
Oh, okay. So maybe she just mistook the fact that the witch wasn't as tall as the wizard.
Yeah, the way it's written, it's kind of grouped as 1 and 4.
Sure.
But then she specifically says the last 3 were staring up at the witch and wizard. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Calm down, Mel B.
But still, there are, yes, possibly some dark overtones in there.
Yes.
I really do like the little scene between Kingsley and Mr. Weasley. That was a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, Matt stopped us from reading about Harry's hearing this week. Josh, tell us how you think the hearing will go down. Who will be there? What will happen?
I mean, Fudge is going to be there, right? And he's going to try to discredit Harry as much as possible. Percy? Is Percy going to be involved? That's possible. What if the Ministry got their hands on Rita Skeeter? You know?
Yeah.
And they use her to kind of dig up some dirt. I don't know. We don't know if she's still in the jar or not, so who knows? All I know is that by the end of all of this nonsense, Harry's going to be back at Hogwarts in some way, shape, or form. So, I don't think he's getting expelled. I don't think he's getting suspended. Harry will be back at Hogwarts. I don't think we have anything to worry about there. So,
it's good to know.
Yeah.
Then Mel did write in a second time after she got a look at your notes.
So while we were recording is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So she says, Josh's notes reminded me of some other comments I wanted to make and sprouted some new ones. 1. I knew he was going to get annoyed about Lockhart being brought up again. He's going to hit the roof when Lockhart comes back as a defense against dark arts teacher.
No, stop it, Melby. Now you're just messing with me. He's coming back. I just don't think he's coming back as teacher. No, I know he's not coming back as teacher. There's no way he comes back as teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
2. I hope you covered blood traders. Blood traders makes Sirius sounds like he sells blood to vampires.
Right?
Which could be a legitimate career in this world.
It very well could be.
Yep. 3. The Weasley twins are geniuses, experimenting and coming up with new and amazing products, definitely putting Harry's generosity to good use.
Mm-hmm.
And 4. The Black family tree and all the intertwined relations we see. I think the genealogy of the Wizarding families is really interesting and cool. Sirius is Draco's second cousin. Draco is Tonks's cousin. It's all so fun to speculate about.
Yeah. I kind of want to draw it out for myself so I can start, like, actually visualizing how it's all coming together.
Sure. Yeah. You could... I have to say I'm guessing someone probably has.
Yeah.
Like tried to connect probably as much of the Wizarding world as possible.
Sure.
I mean, they've had 20 years to do it.
Actually, if somebody has, like, just, like, a picture of, like, what was on this tapestry, of just, like, how it's laid out, because in words, it's hard for me to follow which branches are going which direction, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I can't go and, like, actively Google search that to try to find that picture, you know?
Well, yeah, they're...
So if there's, like, a non-spoiler version of just, like, the exact version of what Sirius is kind of explaining to Harry as they're looking at it.
So, I mean, this is definitely in the movie, I believe. And so I think that's where most of these pictures come from.
Okay.
But I think people have, I mean, in the time since, have made their own versions as well.
Sure. I just kind of want to see it now, so as things start going on, I could have a clear picture in my head as where everybody was connected.
Yeah.
And I don't want to wait for the movie, Matt.
Sure. We'll see what we can do for it.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see here. Next email then comes from Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Says, hey, Matt and Josh. I just wanted to start the email saying that you two threw me for a loop, giving me only 24 hours to write an email about why I love Harry Potter. And in the middle of the work week. You guys can't do that to me. Obviously, I did not get the email in. I'm going to send one anyways, hoping that you guys make another episode, or you can save it for a rainy day.
Perfect.
Besides giving me a short notice, thanks for doing things like these. It's great to hear from other people and why they love Harry Potter. So once again, just to reiterate, please, if you didn't get it in the first time, yes, do send them in. I already have a few people, and I would love to get more. We want to do this. We want to share your thoughts with everybody else. Now on to the chapters. I imagine Josh's imagination is running wild trying to picture everything. Learning about Sirius's family is heartbreaking. To find out that he came from such a hateful family really speaks to his character, which is why he's my favorite one. He is a pure example that where you come from does not define you. How cool is it to find out that he's related to Tonks? That's a piece I forgot. We finally get more information on the Lestranges. Can't wait to hear what Josh thinks of this. And she says, not sure if you can mention this, but has Josh realized that Lestrange is the last name and the girl Newt's commander mentions Fantastic Beasts?
Oh, yes.
We have definitely covered that.
Ad nauseum.
Yes. And reading the description of the ministry is awesome. JK does such a great job adding little details so you can fully picture this place. And then we come to an abrupt end with Harry's trial being suspiciously changed. Coincidence? I think not. Finally, she says, I feel like I need to start taking notes like Josh does while I read, because I know I come up with many things I want to email you guys, but then when it comes to writing my email, my mind goes blank.
I get it.
Yep. There's a reason he does it the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next email from Masha.
Hi, Masha.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, I like to take pictures of abandoned buildings, which might explain why I'm in love with the creepy number 12 Grimmauld Place. So I enjoyed reading about the house cleaning because the more details I got about the place. Because I got more details about the place. What do you say about the Doxies? To me, they seem like a cross between the Garden Gnomes and the Cornish Pixies.
I can see that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's probably pretty close. I always wonder about Buckbeak and Mrs. Black's bedroom, since that doesn't seem like the best place to keep a hippogriff. On the other hand, Buckbeak seemed to enjoy resting on Hagrid's bed. But perhaps Mrs. Black's room has some special feature like Newt's briefcase. With Creature, I wonder if he is aware that he's thinking audibly, or is he pretending to be deranged so that he can insult everyone? I mean, we talked about that a little bit too.
We did, so. Yeah. He's just a handful all the way around.
Yeah. No matter what he's doing it, why he's doing it, like it's not good.
Yeah.
Then there's the family tree. At the first read, I was surprised to see that Sirius was related to Bellatrix and Narcissa, and like Harry, I forgot about the upcoming hearing. So now I'm curious what Josh says about the Ministry of Magic. Did you notice that phone number?
I did, thanks to a wonderful emailer.
Yep. Harry's hearing is rescheduled to take place in a courtroom. What do you make of that?
I'm not surprised. I'm really not.
Yeah. You've been anti-ministry since your predictions episode, so
yeah.
Not too surprised there.
No, I'm not confident in anything they got going on over there.
All right. Next email then from Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
It says, "Hey, Josh and Matt. Hope my email makes it on time because I forgot y'all recording a night early. I wanted to...
So did we.
And you still beat a couple other people, so you're all good.
Yeah.
I wanted to share that, well, in the past, this book has been my least favorite in the series. Reading slowly along with the show has been allowing me to enjoy it more than ever before. I'm finding it harder than ever to stop at the assigned reading than I did for the previous books. In fact, I accidentally read or listened to part of Chapter 8 before I realized I was supposed to stop.
Uh-oh.
As far as these two chapters go, here's a list of my favorite parts. We know you like lists. Fred and George. No.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
No. Could be a top 8, I guess.
Okay.
Number 1. We'll number them for her. Fred and George discussing their joke shop plans with Harry. Skeeving snack boxes are a brilliant idea, and I can't believe that it wasn't already invented before them. She's got a point. I mean, like Marauders or something could have come up with that, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, they were too busy doing other things.
Sneaking out of school?
Yeah.
Yep. Number 2. Creature is a strange little elf. Number 3. I love finding out more about the pureblood family lines in this chapter. I bet JK has the Black family tapestry drawn out for her own reference somewhere. Number 4. Sirius's house is very intriguing with all the crazy and dark items found throughout. And I love Harry thinking that cleaning was more like waging war on the house. Which is exactly what I guess that was the point I was trying to get across to you last week.
Right.
Which Harry explained for us.
Yeah.
Number 5. Mr. Weasley's fascination about all things Muggle is so adorable. I wonder if he has how-to books on Muggle inventions that he reads for fun.
Well, maybe he should read a how to use Muggle money, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I feel like the For Dummies books would be right up his alley.
Yep.
Number 6. I love the entrance to the Ministry of Magic. I wonder if when cell phones become big, they'll have to change the entrance so it doesn't stick out. It's a thought?
Nah.
I mean,
Doctor Who gets away with it still.
That's true. I mean, I think they still have those over. They still have the phone booths over
Plus,
there.
it was broken down. It was in an alley.
Yeah. Like they made it out of the way.
Yeah.
There weren't people walking by.
Right.
Number 7. There are so many things about Harry's time in the Ministry of Magic that are so cool. I can't even list them all. Let's just say that J.K. does an incredible job of painting this magical government building.
Yeah.
And finally, number 8. Josh, how do you think the hearing is going to go?
Swimmingly.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. We know Harry's going back to Hogwarts. Again, maybe it's not because this hearing goes great, but there'll be some sort of loophole or Dumbledore's gonna... I don't know. I'm so not even worried about this thing. It's not even funny. Like, there's a part of me that feels like everybody's asking me this because they know that I'm so not concerned that, like, maybe Harry doesn't get into Hogwarts and, like, he has to sneak in and, like take classes in the middle of the night or, like, through, you know, Hermione or some weird way, and everybody's just laughing at me every time I just brush off this hearing, but I don't know. We know he's going back to school, right? Like, he has to finish all 7 years. He has to. Or, like...
Could take a year off.
No. Because then we have to go back to Hogwarts. And we can't go back to Hogwarts unless Harry's there. We can't have a book with us not being at Hogwarts. I will lose my mind, Matt. Like, again, that's what we talked about before. Like, that's the familiar place. That's the comfort in the story of going back where we're familiar with. And
it's where the magic is.
I don't think we could just gallivant around London for an entire 8,000-page book, you know?
Yeah.
More needs to happen, and I think it needs to happen at Hogwarts. And we're not going to get the perspective of Hogwarts unless Harry is at Hogwarts. So, again, maybe this hearing doesn't go well. It takes a second hearing, or it takes some sort of, you know, overruling or something, like a loophole, something. But I'm not even sweating it.
All right.
We're getting back to Hogwarts.
Next email then from Brent.
Hi, Brent.
It's not an audio email this week. It says, Dear Matt and Josh, for the record, I hate this new schedule. I mean, I get it, but on to thoughts for this week. Yeah. In all the times I've been reading through the series, I've never noticed the play on words of Kreacher's name. Which is interesting if you're actually reading the book. Yet one more thing I'm discovering on this reread through a Muggle's eyes. These play on words is something that J.K. seems to use a lot, often telling you something about the character by their name. This is one I missed. Also, can we stop for a moment and talk about how Mr. Weasley winning the award for stupid parenting moment of the year? The cardinal rule in parenting is to always present a unified front. And there is no way I'm telling the mother of my children that she can't mother her kids, no matter how old they are. I may bring it up in private later, but never in front of the kids. And seriously, do you think Fred and George would stick to their but we're of age guns while looking down the barrel that look by Mama Weasley? No way. And Sirius? Look, I know he's Harry's godfather and that he's the one responsible for Harry, but what does he know of raising a 15-year-old? He got locked up in Azkaban when he was, 21? You don't become a good parent just because you're the godfather all of a sudden. And now, Josh, let's talk about you.
Oh, no.
Let's talk about you encouraging a 10-year-old to lie. Come on, dude.
I don't think I did any sort of thing like that.
You might have been pretty close, at least. I think you told them if they weren't following our reading schedule, just don't tell us about it or something like that.
I wasn't telling them to lie to their parents or their teachers or any sort of authoritative figure in their lives. Just to us.
Okay.
Lie to us. That's it, you know? And it's just about the reading schedule. It's not like a life or death type of thing here. But, you know, it's a slippery slope. But, like, once you're encouraged to lie about one little thing, it starts becoming fun and familiar, and you start getting into it, and... I'm sorry. Nobody should lie.
There you go. Brent continues. All right, let's set the joking aside. On a serious note, I want you guys to stop for a moment about the fact that you are encouraging people, even kids, to read. Do you have any idea how hard that is in today's age, and how good it is for our kids and even adults to spend time reading for leisure? Your work is having positive effects on many people.
This isn't like a TV show podcast where you're getting people to sit down and watch. People are actually picking up a book and reading. Well done, my friends. Well done.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, yes, that is really cool. And I've yet to sit back and kind of look at it from that perspective.
Yep.
It is cool. I think it's easy because it's something that everybody that's listening, most everybody, we have some strictly movie people out there that are reading for the first time. But it's something that people are already familiar with and have already kind of fallen for.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, yes, like, we are encouraging people to sit down and put their phones down or step away from, other forms of media to read or listen to a book.
But at the same time, I would look at it this way. We've heard from numerous people who have read these before,
mm-hmm.
who have said that reading them at this pace with us have gotten them to notice details that they missed before.
Right.
Which means that they're not just reading through and breezing through it. And it's like, oh yeah, I've read this before. That I'm just doing this to know what's in these chapters again. They're sitting down and reading it and analyzing it and working their brains.
Yeah.
And that's all positive.
Definitely.
Yeah. It says, well, here it is Sunday. I guess I see you guys on Wednesday because, the new schedule and all.
Look, Brent, if it wasn't for the holiday, it would be one day closer.
This week is a little off, but going forward, we should be record on Monday, release on Wednesday. It'll all be normal after a while.
Yeah.
All right. Final email. Once again, from our favorite, Atari Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, I just want to let you know that I didn't send in any ideas for your podcast anniversary episode last week because I didn't want to risk winning the prize. But I'll send in some before the party starts. All right.
Was that the fidget spinner?
I believe so.
Okay. So Alex is anti-fidget spinner, huh? Interesting.
Hey, I'm right there with him. It was Josh's idea to give away that thing.
But he could have gave it to somebody else.
So anywho, these chapters. Like I said last week, dirty houses and portraits screaming aren't all that exciting to me. And we get a lot of it here. While the actual cleaning process is slightly more interesting than the characters just remarking on how gross the house is, it still feels like a lot of filler that doesn't accomplish much world building, with the notable exception of Sirius's lineage and more mentions of the mysterious Lestranges, though that could have been included without all the decontamination beforehand. Maybe I'm alone here, but this book is already hella long, and I don't find reading about cleaning entertaining.
What if you were cleaning, listening to us talk about cleaning?
And we know we have some people doing that.
Because we had read about cleaning beforehand. Maybe that's what Alex is going wrong here.
Yeah.
He's putting the cart before the horse.
Says the next chapter, however, is great. After 4 books, we finally get to enter the heart of the British wizarding world, the Ministry itself. I love the description of the atrium because I can picture it so vividly in my head. There's a building in downtown Houston that is almost identical to the way J.K. describes the Ministry, minus the fancy fountain. Plus, we get some fun interactions with Mr. Weasley and Muggles, and Harry and some other wizards. And then Matt leaves us on a cliffhanger with the mysterious change of time and location, and Harry's final moments before finding out his fate. Also, while we're on the subject, for some reason it really bothers me that we're ending our reading on odd-numbered chapters for the next several weeks. But maybe I'm just weird.
No, Alex, trust me, I'm trying really, the OCD part of me is trying really hard to forgive Matt on this. I'm right there with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah. Odd numbers freak me out. To be 100% accurate, yeah. They just they bug me, they disturb me, especially when it's like the finality of something.
So I shouldn't tell you that my favorite number is 33.
I mean, that's fine, whatever. But like,
okay,
like counting, it should be like 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird ending something on an odd number. It feels incomplete.
You weren't ever really a music guy, were you?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say you would hate stuff that's in 3/4 time.
Yeah.
Counting to 3 constantly. You never get past 3.
Yeah.
It says final note for this week. Many episodes back in book 2, I believe, I told Matt that the correct conjugation of apparate was apparition, not apparition. He claimed I was wrong. Well, in my copy of Order of the Phoenix, at the bottom of page 129, as Harry and Mr. Weasley are in the lift to his office, the disembodied female voice says that level 6 is the location of the apparition test center, not apparition. So there. So, well, I will agree that my book has that as well. I actually did notice that as I was reading through. That's not the place I quoted him when he brought this up last time.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether to blame an editor or JK, but regardless, it does change book to book.
Interesting.
Yeah. So my book as well does say apparition test center in this, in Order of the Phoenix here. But I double checked it again. I pulled it out. My copy, I don't know if page numbers are always the same, but if you go to, not you, Josh, but anyone else that wants to look into this,
Sure.
Half-Blood Prince on page 381 and 382.
I don't even have the book yet, Matt. So
yeah, she uses apparition at least half a dozen times. So that's where I got it from. That's where I've always referenced it. I completely forgot that it was even mentioned in book 5. That's why I just jumped to book 6.
Sure.
When I was looking for my example. But yeah, so there you have, like in the copies of the books I have, she changes from book to book. So, like I said, I don't know if that was an editor that made a change without her knowing, or if she actually changed it, what she wants to call it from book to book.
Yeah.
Because, it's basically used kind of in the same context. I can't say it's like supposed to be a different form of the word or anything. So I don't know what to tell you. But other than I can't argue with you anymore, because yes, it is there in print. But so is mine.
So there.
That's all the emails we have, though.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for writing in on this short holiday week. Definitely appreciate all of your feedback and interaction. It really it makes boring chapters like these worth it in the end. You know?
Yep.
Like, if I didn't have emails to look forward to, Matt, I would have just phoned this episode in here, Matt.
I know. Yeah. You've told me multiple times that you love the email segment, so
I do.
I'm glad we always have emails.
Yes. Before we sign off here, though, we do need to talk about the next giveaway that we're doing. We will give away something awesome next week. Matt, what is the prize that a lucky listener can win?
We'll be giving away a wonderful 1,000-piece puzzle featuring the Marauders map.
That sounds awesome. I love puzzles.
So.
I love putting together puzzles. It's relaxing. It's a good way to kind of just decompress, you know?
Yep.
Put on a movie that you've seen 1,000 times, Harry Potter or something. Something that you don't have to like watch.
that would be good.
You know, like you could just have in the background. You're familiar with it.
Yep.
You could hear it and know what's going on visually.
Going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the best thing about puzzles, or just putting on some music, something,
Yeah. For me and my family personally, it's always been a New Year's Eve tradition. That's what we do on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
While we're waiting for the countdown, is we put together a puzzle.
That's cool.
So
that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Well, this puzzle sounds cool. You're gonna have to send me a picture of it, because I would definitely like to see this.
Yeah, I'll definitely get you something.
But that's cool. So one lucky listener is going to be able to win this prize, Matt. How are they going to do it?
That's the question.
I have a good way. It requires writing in another email, talesfromgodric's@gmail.com. And you will have a normal time to do so. Based on when you hear this, you will have until Monday night, July whatever.
July 10th, I believe.
There we go. No, 11th.
No, the 11th is Tuesday.
Oh, that's right, because it's already past midnight now. My calendar rolled over.
There you go.
Yeah, July 10th. You'll have until, then to make your submission.
Yep.
Send in an email, make it separate than your normal weekly email that you would normally send in. All you have to do... Okay, a little bit of homework, first of all. Just a tad bit of research on your guys' part. You need to go back to the scene with the elevator in the Ministry of Magic. And they stop at every floor, and the voice describes what each floor is and what departments are on each floor, right?
Yep.
I pointed out in the show that I would definitely be working on floor or level 4. So I want you all to write in with which level of the Ministry of Magic you would be working on if you had a job in the Ministry of Magic. And why?
I like it. Yeah.
What department's there that makes you want to work on that level? What's your interest? That kind of thing. So pretty simple. You just have to go back and kind of reference all the different levels that we learned about in the Ministry. But let us know which level that you would be working on. Easy to do. And Matt, I want your answer too.
All right, I'll have to go back and look at the list.
Yeah, you seemed taken back by the fact that I had a level picked out as far as which level I'd be working on. You weren't necessarily ready for that.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so I want you to go back and do the same. For asking everybody else to. I want to hear where you would be working. So simple as that.
Fair
Send
enough.
it over, talesfromgodric's@gmail.com. There you go. Easy peasy, as they say. Like I said, by the time this posts, the Butterbeer Banter episode where we talked about 20 years of Harry Potter and what it means to you guys will already be in your feeds. I definitely highly encourage you to check it out and listen to it. It's, like I said, honestly, one of my favorite episodes that we've done here. And a lot of powerful, important stories that people shared with us that I think makes the show incredible. So check that out. This show is posting Wednesday, July 5th. Again, next week we will be back to our normal recording schedule, which will be Monday, July 10th, which will be posting July 12th. So, getting through this holiday week, we'll be back to normal. Everybody should be settled down now and should be smooth sailing from here on out until the next holiday pops up. Messes
like that.
everything up. But this has been fun. Thank you all for listening. As always, you could find me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. Please be sure to follow the show on Twitter at TalesFromGH. Tweet us, interact with us as much as you possibly want over there. It's a lot of fun. Any show information is posted by Matt. Everything else, like the responses and everything, 99% of the time is from me. So just to let you guys know who you're interacting with over there. You can follow the Instagram account, Tales from Godric's Hollow. The websites, where all the wonderful information and hopefully the new and improved show notes.
We're getting there. I
Gonna
can't
be
promise
up there
anything yet.
Soonish. TalesFromGodric'sHollow.com. And if you'd like to support us and everything that we're doing here for you guys, the community, for all you wonderful listeners, for, everything, all the extra content that we're putting out, all of it. You could do so, like so many of you already are doing, over on Patreon, patreon.com/tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people reach out and say hello to you at?
You can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, as I hope many of you do, and many of you already do every week, send me an email. Keep it away from Josh. Send me giveaway information, whatever you want to do. You can do all that at talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Perfect. I look forward to next week, where we just cruise through this hearing that everybody's all stressed out about. No big deal. Gonna get past that. We'll be moving on to Hogwarts soon, I'm sure. 2 chapters next week, Matt?
Correct. 8 and 9.
8 and 9. 8 and 9 of Harry
Keeping
Potter
it odd.
and the Order of the Phoenix. Until next time, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.